along with four-time AHL All-Star John Bednarski. John, it really is only fitting that it's these two particular teams that are the two teams remaining this season, is it not?
Well, it's very appropriate. You get the top teams with the points. Hartford with 107, Rochester right behind it with 104. They're very similar in other categories too. Goals for, goals against. Very, very similar, just like identical twins out there. Hartford relies heavily on J.F. LeBay. J.F. LeBay, the goaltender for the Hartford Wolfpack, 30 saves in a shutout last Friday against the Amherst. The JF stands for playing just fantastic.
Well, this has been a real seesaw battle in the series between the two teams as they have alternated wins. Hartford winning the odd number games, Rochester winning the even number games. So if that holds true tonight, Rochester would win this one and force a seventh game in Hartford on Wednesday. But if not, the season comes to an end. The spark plug for the Rochester Americans in this series seems to be second-year winger J.P. Dumont. As the two games that they were victorious, he scored 2 goals in each of those games and now has 14 to lead the playoffs, and that is a franchise tied franchise record. So as they say in the biz, this one should be a barn burner tonight here at the Blue Cross Arena, so stick around. And joining us at ice level is Bob Trimble, as he is talking with the man who has taken the Rochester Americans to the Calder Cup Finals the last 2 seasons, Coach Brian McCutcheon. Bob?
Right, thanks very much. And as the guys just said, Coach, 2 straight years in the Calder Cup Finals. What does this team have to do to make it a Game 7 in the Finals?
Well, you know, we've got to eliminate the first period that we had in Hartford the other night for whatever reason. Certainly give Hartford some credit. They came out strong. They played very well, but in a lot of cases allowed them to give them too much space, too much time. We've got to get on the puck. We've got to pursue the puck better than what we did. Second period in Hartford was a totally different game. We dominated the period. We had some outstanding chances, but because of LeBay, we weren't able to finish. But you don't want to put yourself in that situation where you're almost desperate trying to score goals, and so we've got to get off to a better start and then just continue it for 60 minutes.
These guys excited and ready to go?
Well, they are, and you know, but it's controlled. I think there's a business-like atmosphere, but certainly an understanding of what needs to be done. But I think also they know how to get it done.
Good luck to you tonight.
Yep.
Coach Brian McCutcheon of the Amherst. Coming up right after this timeout, we'll have the opening face-off for Game 6 of the Calder Cup Finals between the Amherst and Hartford Wolfpack, live right here on Empire.
Read the paper, turn on the TV, listen to the radio. Everywhere you turn.
Scores and highlights are only half the story. Oh, my goodness! Now, the nightly show that delivers more coverage.
Every pro score every 10 minutes.
More analysis.
This team has unity.
More opinions.
That is going too far.
Plus, live interaction where you get to sound off.
How did this show get out of control?
Our team covers the sports scene like you've never seen.
What a hit!
The National Sports Report. Nightly at 11 on Empire. Miss it, miss out.
This period of the Calder Cup Finals is brought to you by Chase Pitkin. At Chase Pitkin, you don't have to do it yourself.
Tonight at the Blue Cross Arena, we welcome you to game number 6 of this series, the best of 7, of course, between the Rochester Americans and the Hartford Wolfpack. And we're certainly happy to have you folks along with us tonight. And as you take a look at the arena, it's a packed house again tonight. Been some excellent crowds in the playoffs so far. And we will be having the national anthem coming up next before we get underway with tonight's game. So join us. This one should be a good one right here on the Empire Sports Network.
Say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming.
Some of the great crowd on hand here tonight at the Blue Cross Arena. And they're getting ready for Game 6. And let's check out who's starting out in goal tonight for the visiting team. J.F. LeBay, as John was talking about in our pregame, and a great record in the playoffs, leading the playoffs with 14 wins, 7 losses, and a 2.24 goals against average, 93% saves, and actually against Rochester about 95%. At the other end, Mika Norton, the rookie sensation of the league's Rookie of the Year this year. And he comes in with a 13-7 playoff record. Second best goals against average in the playoffs at 1.73. And he, too, is nearly 94% in his saves percentage. The referee for this game tonight is Brad Meyer. They've been bouncing back and forth between Tim Peel and Brad Meyer, but evidently finally settling on Brad Meyer as the referee, Tim Kotira and Terry Henneberg, the linesman. And it should be a good one tonight, John, to say the least.
Well, it sure is. And the Amherst, if they're going to win this hockey game, they're going to need other players to chip in. Guys like Davidson has no goals in the last 8 games. You have Sapola, 1 goal in the last 6 games. And then you have Darren Van Owen. Van Owen, no goals in the last 8 games. And this is the line that's starting the hockey game for the Rochester Americans. Oh, no, there's a little change here. You have Jean-Luc Grandpierre, who's moved up on the wing.
How about that with the defenseman Hurlbut and Holland. So Grandpierre is on the right wing position. The puck is in behind the Rochester net. That's an interesting wrinkle there. It's to the pointed out over the line to center ice. Taken back by the Wolfpack in the dark uniforms here. That's the visiting uniforms. Cross rink to Grandpierre. He'll try and throw it out in front, but that's deflected away. And then Paul will clear it out to center ice. Battle at center ice for the puck. Brought away. 2-on-1 now. Tesalino moving in shot. Great sliding save by Norton. Huge save right off the bat. Then it's brought away and off ice again by Grandpierre. Shovels it off the boards in the zone, trying to get loose, and then it's hammered away by Gannot to the point, but blocked and kept in by Holland. Here's Grandpierre and Sapola for a tip to the goal. Great save and rebound. Stopped by LeBay. On the puck and holds on. And already we've seen magnificent goaltending in this game, and we've only played 43 seconds.
Man, oh man, 2 great saves. And the first one, as we look at Jean-Luc Grandpierre, moved up from the defense. One of the reasons I think that Coach Brian McCutcheon wants to get a little bit more speed in there to force the defenseman. But here's a 2-1. Gannot getting that puck over to Tesalino. And watch this sliding block save by Mika Norton, the Rochester Americans. The Amherst come right back. And on a close call, right in front of the net, it's Grandpierre getting to that puck, getting a good backhand whack at that, and somehow LeBay come over to from his left over to his right, made a save.
Well, LeBay stopped all 40 Rochester shots last game, and he was magnificent in doing so, as you said, John. And it's amazing how much a goaltender means to a team, especially in the playoffs this time of the year. Cleared in the air, high in the air, and down ice. Huda chasing after it. It's in on goal, steered aside by Norton. At the side of his net, Campbell up the wing, and here it's dumped off the boards to neutral territory by Dumont. Take it right back. Wolfpack with it. It's Vitahoff. Dumps it in behind the Rochester net, and they're taken by Doug Huda. Up the wing, through and down ice. So that'll be chased after by the Wolfpack. Virtue behind his net. Virtue looking to repeat as a Calder Cup champion, was with the Providence Bruins in their win over Rochester in the finals last year. Backhanded in around behind the Rochester net. Wolfpack looking for the centering pass. Brad Smith throws it through to the point. Long shot from there, tipped in, but goes by. Smith again throws it around behind the Rochester net, and top of it now is Dumont. Popping it off to Huda. Edwin defenseman for the Amherst. Pulled off his stick by Smith. He's tied up and behind the net by Huda. On the backboards, looking to pull it loose is Wells, and spins it out in front. Smith with a shot, doesn't get through, hits a skate, and the loose puck carried away by Huda. Cleared around to the point, but still kept in by Klocek of the Wolfpack. Behind the net, Huda going up the wing to Aduno as he's run over. At the point, long shot by Doig, but blocked away. Out over the line to center ice by Pittis. Taken back by the Wolfpack and dumped in. Looks like this might draw an icing, and yes, it does. We played 2 minutes, 4 seconds so far. There is no score at the Blue Cross Arena.
And that last flurry by the Hartford Wolfpack, Armstrong out there with Smith doing an excellent job keeping it down low. You know, the Wolfpack, they want to come out, and they're saying to them in the locker room before the game, and we look at Coach Brian McCutcheon of the Rochester Americans, hey, let's jump on them early. They don't want to make that 5.5-hour bus trip back to Hartford for Game 7. Hartford Wolfpack, they don't want to go to a Game 7 because a one-game series, I'll tell you, you can't count on anything happening. Home ice advantage or not, you can't count on anything happening there.
Face-off coming to the right of LeBay. It's Van Owen now between Bolton and Davidson. And Kalinin and Grandpierre now moves back to that right point position on defense. It's in the scrum of skates in the face-off circle. Quick shot. Davidson missed wide. And the point kept in by Grandpierre. Behind the net, Davidson. In behind for Bolton. Up in the corner. Taken by Van Owen, sends it behind the net, comes out to the side of the net and grabbed by LeBay, who's taking no chances here. Stock now giving Bolton a shove, and they had to go around some fisticuffs in the last game.
There's the coach of the Hartford Wolfpack, John Paddock. Boy, you talk about a lot of uncertainty going on in this organization. If you look at John Paddock, hey, he was the general manager of the Winnipeg Jets, you know, and then now he moved over to the Hartford Wolfpack, the New York Ranger organization. Glenn Sather, formerly he was Mr. Everything with the Edmonton Oilers, now is signed on with the New York Rangers. So what's the future of John Paddock? What's the future of Don Maloney? A lot of things up in the air, and I'll tell you what, winning a Calder Cup secures your future just a little bit.
Now, John Paddock certainly has to be one of those to be considered as the coach for the Rangers next year. Being the coach of their minor league team and taking his team to the finals. It's all the way through into the corner, played along the sideboards, but kept in momentarily. Now Tuzzolino with the slot, and Doig up the wing, and the Wolfpack will shoot it down to the Rochester zone. On one hop, steered aside by Nord, and Kalina there for the Amerks. To Davidson, the bounced off his stick, goes behind the net, and they're chased down by Grand Pierre. Slides it around the wing, but in for the point. Purinson, long shot across the goal mouth, and comes to the other corner. As they tie up to the point, Doig with the shot. That stuck through, but goes wide. The other side, Purinson with the shot way wide. And looks like a shooting gallery on the ice right at the moment. In behind the net, taken away by Kalinin, and Rochester beginning to move it up ice. Rookie defenseman Dmitry Kalinin, still at 19 years of age, dumps it around behind the Wolfpack net. Back for Purinson. And a whole bunch of penalty minutes this season. Away up the wing to center ice for Tuzzolino. Backhanded in the Rochester zone. Behind his net goes the captain of the Amerks, Mike Hurlbut. Tries the right wing side to Sapola. Enters the Hartford zone, and he stood up, and the puck rolls into the corner. And Vitohal leaves it there, but Sapola chips it around behind the net. Denny Amel on the backboards. Can't come away with the puck, and it's pulled loose and carried off by Vitohal. Up the wing to center ice for Jernander. Sends it off on the left wing side, and Vitohal moving in there as he tried to spin away from Holland, lost control of the puck. Added by Sapola behind his net. In the corner, they tie up Jernander, hit there by Hurlbut. Tries the other side. Murphy can't get it out. Now Vitohal without the helmet, tied up there by Sapola. Puck is in their skates. And knocked loose and behind the net, and they're chased down by Hurlbut. No score in the game. We played almost 4 minutes. And on the wing, Amel to center ice. That hits Murphy. Knocked down, taken right back by the Wolfpack. Then picked up again by Rochester. Here's Amel moving in, takes a shot, but it dribbles wide and off in the corner. Back to pick it up. Smith for the Wolfpack, right through in front of his own net, flipped in the air, out and down ice. This will go all the way down. Looks like another icing. Ryan Campbell is back, and there's the whistle. 15:44 to go in the first period. No score, and you're watching the American Hockey League's Calder Cup Finals on the Empire Sports Network. Face-off coming up in the Hartford zone is the massive fans in attendance here tonight at the Blue Cross Arena. Watching on to this scoreless game thus far. We played 4 minutes and 16 seconds so far. Dominic Pittis leading the playoffs. The face-off for the Amerks has 30 points coming into tonight. Facing off against the former Rochester American Jason Daw, who scored the game winner last game. In the corner, spinning around is a Finneganov behind the net, trying to draw it out in front. Now the line of Pittis, Dumont, and a Finneganov all together for the first time. And what a great scoring line that one should be. Lots of offense there, and the puck now brought away and up ice by the Wolfpack. Dumps it into the Rochester zone. Back for it goes Campbell. Another whistle, another icing call. So kind of a slow start after the first about 30 seconds, John. This thing has come to a grinding halt here.
Well, I think one of the things the Amerks want to do is slow down the Hartford Wolfpack. The Hartford Wolfpack in the last few games have really come out very quickly at the start of the game, and so the Amerks, have had a chance, but it came right after a golden opportunity by Tuzzolino. Mika Norden had to come up with a huge save there as we look at the Amerk bench, and there's a couple guys at the end of the bench, and the Amerks need some offensive production with Hamel and Sapola right there. Next to him is Jeremy Aduno. Aduno like to get off the snide too, but as you mentioned, that's Finneganov has taken Jeremy Aduno's spot on this line right now. And there's another guy, Finneganov, hampered a little bit with a sore ankle. Has a few goals in the playoffs, but not playing to the 110% or 100% that you'd like to see him play, especially in the finals.
Face off again to J.F. LeBay's left. Bill Pittis, Dumont, and Finneganov up front for Rochester, and the point man Huda and Campbell. It's Chris Wells in center for the Wolfpack, the big guy, and he is a big boy. Back to the point, kept in. Huda with a wrist shot, grabbed it in by LeBay, and he'll hold on. Chris Wells at 6'6". 24-year-old from Calgary. And if necessary, Empire Sports will bring you Game 7 of this terrific Calder Cup Finals. Join us Wednesday night, 7 o'clock, live from Hartford, when one of these two teams will raise the Calder Cup. You don't want to miss this one, hockey fans. The 7th and deciding game of the Calder Cup Finals, if necessary, coming your way live on Empire Sports. Hot pull to the backboards. Virtue in behind his net. Tries the wing side and down to Wells at center ice where he is tied up by Huda. Bangs it right back into the Hartford zone. Hitting, picking up a little bit, moving in a Finnegan. I've tried to block it, but it's out over the line. Kept in by Pittis. Here's Dumont feeding it in front, but up with it is Virtue. Gets it to the point. Huda sliding in, but couldn't keep it in the zone, and it's back to the Rochester blue line. Campbell taking it there. The rookie defenseman for the Rochester Americans. Brian Campbell dumps it in, heads for the bench on the line change, and the puck now behind for the Wolfpack net. Around the wing for Jernander. Pass to Armstrong, right back to Jernander. Bringing it up ice, now 3-on-2, and in on the left side is Virtue, but couldn't take the pass, and it's cleared behind the net. Chased after the point. And it's brought away by Sapola, finds the opening to center ice for Dumont. He'll slide it down, and now the Amherst complete their line change. The Daw line coming out on the ice. That is probably the Wells line with Daw on a wing. And the other side is Brad Smith on the ice now for the Wolfpack. Here around to Amell for the Amherst off the glass. In the air out of down ice. Chasing after goes Purinton. Hot on his heels, Joe Murphy. And it's touched there by the Wolfpack and another whistle. 14:01 to go. First period, no score here in Rochester.
Again, good look at Amherst Joe Murphy. There's a young man that a few months ago was playing in the East Coast League. Has had a tremendous season for the Rochester Americans. Murphy's played so very steady winger, a defensive winger. You know, and maybe that comes back from you know what he was playing when he was playing in college. He was a defenseman, so he moved up from defense to forward. Coach Brian McCutcheon uses a lot of crucial situations, especially killing penalties at the end of the game, end of the period. So very confident in the play of that young man.
Faceoff this time in Rochester zone to the left of J.F. LeBay, and that's almost, or rather to the left of Mika Nornan for Rochester. That's almost a look you get right there from Nornan's perspective. And then at the Holland, off the glass to the point area, kept in now by Wells. Taken back to the point, still kept in along the side boards, intercepted, and Sapola pass picked off again by the Wolfpack. It's dumped in by Droig, and then he's run over by Hurlbut. Down the eye, and then Holland after it. Dribbles it off in the corner for Murphy. Slides it up the wing, but at the point kept in by Purinton. Out of behind the Rochester net, and after it goes Hurlbut, digs it out off the glass in the air, out of down ice. Purinton turning back for the pocket on his heels as Amell. Purinton gets there and touches it for the icing, and he's bumped by Amell. Now Purinton on the season, third in the American Hockey League with 415 penalty minutes, and in fact leads the playoffs so far with 85 penalty minutes. There's Denny Amell.
There's a good look at Denny Amell, and Denny Amell in the last 6 games only has 1 assist. Last 8 games, 2 goals, 3 assists for 5 points. Last series against the Hershey Bears had a heck of a series. Look at John Paddock and the Hartford Wolfpack bench. But again, if you're going to win this Calder Cup, you have the Pittis, Aduno, and J.P. Dumont line is doing a lot of the, has the majority of a high percentage of the goals that have been scored against the Wolfpack. You need production from the other ones.
In all 5 games of the series so far, the Wolfpack have scored the first goal. How important is that? Rochester able to come back in 2 of those games, with 3, the Wolfpack winning, as they again scored the first goal in all 5. Mason Daw with the first goal in the last 2 straight, including the last game, which turned out to be the game winner in the shutout, carried in over the line and an offside against the Amherst. So that first goal, John, it's not the most important thing, but it certainly gets your team off to a good start.
I think it's very important tonight for one team in the Rochester Americans because of what happened last game, and J.F. LeBay, shutting out the Rochester Americans last game. So the Amherst would like to get that first goal. It's not that important, but just to give them a little confidence in their offensive production.
Well, LeBay has had 2 shutouts in this series and 3 in the playoffs. In game 1, he closed out Rochester 1-0, and the last game, which was game 5, shut out Rochester 3-0.
Look at those eyes. I tell you what, you talk about somebody who's really focusing on what he has to do. LeBay is really into this game. Very confident goaltender. We talked about before. He's a cocky, confident goaltender. One of those guys that, you're sitting up there, you hate to have him play against you, but you sure want a guy like that on your team, especially back there in net.
And he's been around 5 teams in the American Hockey League in the last 5 years. At To the blue line, kept in momentarily by Bolton. Up with it, trying to shovel it out in front, and that's deflected off of the sideboard. Stock takes advantage away from ejected Van Owen. And behind his net, carried off by the Wolfpack. Flipped in the air out of the zone, but grabbed again by Van Owen and dumped in as Hall couldn't clear it away. And turning back goes Bannister for the Wolfpack. Now behind his net, tries the other side this time of the point. Kept in again by Van Owen, and now backhanded on the sideboards by Davidson. Rochester makes a line change. Out to center ice, stepping up. His ground Pierre, but Stock with a pass. Now taken away by the Amherst. And the left wing side for Aduno, but that one is cleared away by Bannister. And now into the Rochester zone. Jernander takes a wrist shot of the stick stop for Norton. And his ground Pierre over the line to center ice. Out of the ice and hurt. Slow getting up as Dumont behind the play. Is now the Amherst on the attack. Ground Pierre moving in. The puck rolled off his stick. And LeBay is tripped up and taken down. It'll be a penalty coming up to the Rochester Americans. Aduno getting tangled up with LeBay, who goes down an interference call on Jeremy Aduno.
And Aduno can't understand why this penalty was called. Aduno was tied up. He was close to the goal crease. LeBay went down very quickly, and it's one of those rules protecting the goaltender in that goal crease. You can't touch him. And Aduno, who was he was tied up with one of the Wolfpack players, and Aduno still cannot believe that he's going into the penalty box. So the first power play of the game goes to the Hartford Wolfpack.
Goalie interference. All right, power play opportunity number 1 of the game for the Wolfpack. Takes very few penalties on the in his game. Very many penalty minutes. Checking back here in the playoff. That is,
take a look here. Here's what, watch it to the right-hand side of the screen there. Does he get? Well, yeah, he does. He doesn't get hit at all. He gets closer. He doesn't see where he is on the ice, and you know the players, they have to be aware of how close they are to the goaltender, because that rule is very specific. You cannot touch the goaltender. That's his crease. All that blue area, that shaded blue area, you can't go in there. That's his domain. And Aduno gets in there, he's unaware of where he is, and just touches LeBay, and LeBay may have embellished it a little bit.
You think? Well, that is the first penalty that Jeremy Aduno has taken in the playoffs, and this is the 21st game for the Rochester Americans. Tonight at 10:30, tune in for the Empire Sports Report with Josh Moorhead. Josh will have the scores and highlights from around the region, including news on the Stanley Cup and NBA playoffs. Don't miss it. Empire Sports Report tonight, 10:30, following hockey, right here on Empire Sports.
Speaking of Stanley Cup, going on with the Calder Cup Finals. This game is in the 6th game of the Calder Cup Finals. Hartford leading 3-2 last night in Dallas. The New Jersey Devils won that hockey game 2-1. Everybody thought it was all over when Dallas won that second game in New Jersey to tie the series 1-1. They figured, oh, this is going to be it. Going back into Dallas, it's all over. But New Jersey, boy, what a game they played last night.
That's game 3. This will be, John, one of the rare times as we look at the banners, a few of the many banners hanging overhead here at the Blue Cross Arena. But this will be one of the few times that the American Hockey League is actually going to get done before the NHL. I think the last couple of years, the NHL has been completed before the AHL. Dave LeBay looks on at that particular scene right there, the face-off at center ice. Armstrong between Smith and Daw now for the Wolfpack, with Vitahall playing on left side and Bannister on the right side on defense. This is a power play unit for the Wolfpack.
Jason Daw is the one who started scoring last game on a power play goal. The Evans, they really have to keep an eye on him. Their penalty killing unit, all their specialty team units are going to have to do a tremendous job this evening if they want to go to game 7.
Down behind the Rochester net, pulled off in the corner, but tipped loose, dug out by the Wolfpack. Out in front, Bannister shot, doesn't get through. It's blocked in front, and Hurlbut has it in his equipment. Well, the Wolfpack have scored, as I said, the first goal of the game in every game of this series, and they have scored 1 goal in every game in the first period.
Well, watch this play. The Amherst really lose the puck. It's a nice play to get the puck over to Bannister, moving in, and boy, that is just like a goal. I believe that Bannister scored in the game here in Rochester. But watch this play by Hurlbut. Hurlbut, Norden, Mika Norden showing some very good quickness coming across. If it doesn't get through Mike Hurlbut, Mika Norden was right there to make sure of the puck not to go in the net. There's a young man, Mika Norden. Everybody's talking about his clean, and Mika Norden, 20 years old. Playing well. Boy, what a year he's had this year.
Well, what a string of goaltenders the Buffalo Sabres organization has had. With Hasek, Marty Biron, who was the goalie of the year last year in the league, and now the rookie of the year this year in the league, Mika Norden. One goaltending great after another. The puck shot all the way down ice. Go back with the Wolfpack. Dieterhall on him is Pittis. Trying to steal it away, but Dieterhall comes away, slowed up with the hook, and no! Hooked off the puck into his knees. Pittis with no call the other way. It's down into the Rochester zone. And that Hamel tying up. The throw back to the point for Dieterhall. Behind the other side. What did Timer Bannister miss the net? In behind Smith taking it. As he's chasing the corner, looking to one hand and out in front. Pulled off the puck by Huda. Back at the point, Bannister. Another wrist shot in. That's knocked down. There's a shot. They score in front of the net. As the shot is taken by Armstrong just inside the lower left corner. Power play goal and the Wolfpack with a 1-0 lead.
And here's the frustration coming out on the part of the Rochester Americans that play Huda and Hamel. Hamel, after Armstrong scores the goal. Armstrong was hit last game in Rochester by Doug Huda at the blue line. And you see both of them going at one another. And that's one of the things that got the Amherst into trouble. Well, you know, after they came back from Hartford, the series was tied 1-1. And watch this play right here. Armstrong makes a nice play going around Hurl, but as he's falling down to the ice, low on the stick-hand side of the goaltender Norden, shoots the puck in. A terrific goal by Armstrong, and what a playoff series he's having. But watch this goal. Watch what happens with Armstrong as he gets around Mike Hurl, but he's going down the ice. He's being tripped by Mike Hurl, but we're going to see coincidental minors going on with Smith and Hamel going on it. And that's what happened at the end of the goal. But getting back to it, the Amherst have to get away from the pushing, the shoving, the gloves in the face. I think it takes a little bit away from their game that they've played.
Well, coincidental penalties. Armstrong getting the goal. So it's a 1-0 lead for the Wolfpack. Armstrong scoring his 7th of the playoffs, and he had one last game. Smith picking up 2-minute roughing penalty, and it'll be a 2-minute high sticking penalty on Denny Hamel.
The last game you mentioned, he had 1 goal, 1 assist. Last 4 games, 1 goal and 3 assists for 4 points. And you know, that's the line. Armstrong, Smith, and Daw, especially on the power play. They've crushed the Amherst.
Well, now it's 6 straight games in which the 2 things have happened. The Wolfpack have scored the first goal of the game, and they have scored 1 goal in every first period of the series. Well, repeats again here tonight. Rochester coming from behind as it's brought in the zone by Jernander. Top of the slot, turns, takes a shot, but that one dribbled off a leg and carried down to the corner and drawn away by Holland. Up ice for the Amherst. Holland to the red line, on the wing for the Finnegan, but skipped off his stick and cleared away to center ice. Taken right back again by the Amherst. Holland spins it up the wing. That one was tipped aside by Kortek. In the Wolfpack controlling the puck. Kortek in his own zone. The left wing side, Dieterhall entering the Amherst. So watch there by Holland. Turns it off on the sideboards. Looking for the trainer. Bannister moving in, but couldn't reach the pass. Does catch up to it in the corner. Drops it off there. Armstrong back on the ice now. In the corner, taken by Pittis. Savage trailing 1-0. 9:50 to go in the first period. Holland in front of his net. Advance into Campbell. Works the wing to center ice. Each team again is a man short for the next 50 seconds. Campbell dumps it in. Now behind all the way to the other corner for Pittis as he's bumped there by Hall. Hall playing a wing, but has been seeing a lot of duty on defense here in this series. Over now carried away by Bannister. Gives it off the boards to center ice for Armstrong, but he turns back. Watched there by Pittis. Armstrong around behind his net. Here's it off the glass, through and out and down ice. So turning back go the Amherst. Kalinin after it. Now behind his net, Dmitry Kalinin away. Slips it, no, couldn't get it out. It's kicked aside by Jernander. One tied up by Grandpierre. They slam to the corner boards. A penalty coming up to the Amherst. As Grandpierre very upset. Jernander taking face first into the corner boards, and Beal's arm goes up in the air.
Well, I'll tell you what, it looks like there's Amherst going to be assessed another penalty with Rochester American. Jean-Luc Grandpierre is going to be getting this penalty. Jean-Luc takes the, you know, we've seen him do this checks all year long, and Grandpierre definitely going into the penalty box.
So Grandpierre in the box, and the Amherst will be short-handed, trailing 1-0. You're watching the American Hockey League's Calder Cup Finals on the Empire Sports Network.
Number 34, Jean-Luc Grandpierre, 2 minutes for...
Well, it's kind of quiet right now, John, at the Blue Cross Arena as Hartford comes out, scores a power play goal at 9:07 of the period. Armstrong from Smith and Virtue to take the 1-0 lead, and now they go right back on the power play again.
Well, don't get me wrong. That play by Jean-Luc Grandpierre, we've seen it over and over all year long. That did not look like a boarding penalty. It looked like Jernander at the tail end of the play put his head down and made it look a little bit actually worse than it really was.
Pass off onto the point for Vitahall. Shot in. Pad save for Norden. No, they're going to wave it off. They'll wave that one off. The face-off coming up. Evidently, the whistle had already blown. It was under the left leg pad of Norden. And the referee Peel.
He just gained
no goal.
He just gained about 11,000 friends right there on that call right there. As the puck, you know what? The Amherst catch a break on that play right there as we look at the goal scorer for the Hartford Whalers to see if the whistle goes. But here's the play right here. The puck looks loose.
Looked like he had it under his glove.
I don't know, Don.
Watch the glove goes down. Right there. Oh.
See that?
Close.
Amherst get a break right there. There was a quick whistle, so the referee was called 2 penalties against the Rochester Americans. Just made a few more friends here in one more. Speaking Norden, he's got to get on that puck a little quicker. And with this penalty that Jean-Luc Grandpierre took, it's a 4-on-3 situation for the Hartford Wolfpack. Gives them a little bit more room.
For one more second, when the coincidental minors will expire. And the face-off to Norden's left. Armstrong against Pittis for this face-off. Puck is dropped, taken by Daw to the point for Bannister. Back to Daw as the coincidental penalty has expired. It's still in the Rochester zone. Jason Daw at the point area takes a shot, and that one doesn't get through. Goes to the corner. Bannister dumps it in behind the net for Armstrong. Feet on top again for Daw to the point area for Vitahall. Takes a shot, and Norden knocks it down. Smothers the puck. No, it rolls loose and shot around the boards by Pittis. And it's out and down ice. And 20 remaining in Rochester's penalty. Bannister behind his net. Hartford leading 1-0. A minute 10 to go in the power play. That's dumped in by Vitahall around behind the Rochester net. Kalina getting to it. Brings it around the boards and dips through by point man Bannister and out to center ice. Zapula giving it off to Davidson in over the line. And gets kicked off his stick. Taken away by the Wolfpack. Jason Daw behind his net. Out in front. Gets it ahead of the blue line for Smith. Then tipped off his stick by Kalina. Wolfpack back again. Here's Smith. Pass on the wing, but that's by and in behind the Rochester net. Taken there, and the play is whistled down on the offside. 7:43 to go in the first period. Hartford with a power play goal at 9:07 of the first period, taking a 1-0 lead. And Armstrong needing a little helmet equipment repair.
Here's where the Hartford takes the shot right from the point and through the screen. It looks like they're doing what the Rochester Americans should be doing to LeBay. And LeBay has been able to see a lot of shots, but they're getting traffic in front of Norden. They're making it very difficult for him to pick that puck up. And Coach John Paddock has his team playing his game plan to the T, and they're doing an excellent job of getting traffic in front of the goaltender Norden, especially when they have the man advantage.
Here come the Wolfpack. Half a minute to go in the power play. Doig to dump it in. Chased after by Jernander. Beginning to it for the Amherst is Holland. As he's jammed up against the backboards by Jernander. On the corner boards, Holland.
Hartford Wolfpack 11-3 when they scored the first goal of the game. Not a very good stat for the Rochester Americans.
Stock taking it there. To the point for Doig. Long shot tipped off the leg pad then of Norden into the corner. Taken again by Stock. In the slot for Hall. As he looks it over. The penalty now expires. Grandpierre, they score! Shot from out high. Out of the corner. That was after the penalty had expired. And Hartford now with a 2-0 lead here early in the first period.
Well, look at that happy Hartford Wolfpack bench. They're up there. There's a few Hartford fans here at the Blue Cross Arena. And they are happy in the second period, in this first period with 7:01 to go. That's the second goal of the period for the Wolfpack, and it's Hall right from the point. Just as you can hear the goaltender LeBay banging his stick on the ice, letting his defenseman know that the player is coming out of the penalty box. Watch Hall. He actually shoots the puck as he's backing up on the play. It goes through the screen of the goaltender. Big Wells is standing there. Watch him, Norden. Does he see this puck at all? He doesn't see it. There's Well, and Holland goes right through both players and into net. Great camera work. You saw that puck all the way. Norden didn't see that puck at all, and it's a 2-0 lead.
Todd Hall scoring his second. In fact, he had one. It was back in game 4 of the series, which was his first professional playoff goal. And tonight's his second professional playoff goal. On away and up ice, Van Owen in the zone, but pushed down on the offside. 6:43 to go in the first period, and Hartford has taken now a 2-0 lead. As Rochester has a huge hole to try and climb out of here tonight. Hartford up 2-0. You're watching the American Hockey League's Calder Cup Finals on the Empire Sports Network. As play picks up here at the Blue Cross Arena, puck shot around behind the Rochester net. A Finnegan run over at center ice. Fans booing here. Hartford with a 2-0 lead now. Finnegan slips into center ice for Sapola. As he enters the Hartford zone, waits for help to catch up, pass in front, but it's swept aside by Bannister. In the corner, taken, carried behind the net. 5:35 to go. One of a penalty here. Coming up to Rochester once again as a Finnegan runs Hall in behind the net. This is touched down by Rochester. Whistle blows, and wow, it just gets tougher and tougher here for the Amherst as it goes along.
Finneganoff just it shows a lack of discipline right there on the part of Maxim Finneganoff. He's a young man. You know, he's a little upset because watch this play. Watch what he does right here. He actually slew foots the defenseman. There's a pick on him, kicks his legs out from underneath him. That's the penalty. Finneganoff's upset. Why? At the blue line, Amherst blue line right before that. He gets run over from behind by one of the Wolfpack players. The referee doesn't pick it up, and he doesn't. There's no call being made. But this referee, I guess they didn't know if he was going to play in this game. If he was going to referee this game. He was a little late getting into Rochester, and my God, the Wolfpack are glad he's refereeing this game.
Well, Finnegan back out at center ice. Had been clipped up around the face area with a stick, and then he was down on the ice. And then he got back up, and as he was getting up, he was run over from behind, and he was very upset. But like you say, John, it's that time of year you have to
You've got to take those. You have to take those hacks and whacks, chops at the high sticks, and sooner or later it's going to come your way. But the Amherst are in a huge hole right now. They're down 2-0. And this Hartford Hartford Wolfpack Hockey Club have been very stingy. What do they say? A team that gets a 2-goal lead has won every game.
Back to the point area, kept in again, and this is power play opportunity number 3 of the game for the Wolfpack. Daw tried to feed it down low, but that one deflected aside. Goes behind the net. Daw has it again. Pass out to Smith. In behind, comes out in front. I'll take it away. Shot out and down ice by Sapola. Back go the Wolfpack. Under 5 minutes now to go in the first period, and Hartford leading 2-0. From behind the net, Bannister away. To center ice and onto the wing where it's dumped in, and after it in the corner goes Kalinin. And around behind the net as they tie for the backboards. Daw taken down there, and the Amherst get away with one as Pittis pulled him down, and in front of the net, that's cleared away out and down ice by Davidson. All the way back goes Vita Hall. 57 seconds to go in this power play. Hartford scored 1 on the power play, and their second goal was just a second after the other power play had expired. It's in the Rochester zone, and they're whistled down to the offside. Play is stopped. 4:16 to go in the first period. I think Hartford leading. You should look at P.J. Stock.
P.J. Stock, he's the young man who let such a pivotal. Everybody talks about the third game being a pivotal game, and that third game here in Rochester, what a job he did shadowing. He's 5'10", 190 pounds from Victoriaville, Quebec, 26 years old. And he's an antagonist, an instigator, gets under the skin of a lot of players, and he did exactly that. And that's what's happening to the Amherst right now. And the Amherst being outshot right now 8-3. Why? Because they've given 3 straight power plays to the Wolfpack. Look at that bench. They got to get some life on that bench. They're down on that bench. They've got to get something going, something positive.
Huda backhands it to center ice. Wells grabs it and is dumped in the Rochester zone. Huda after will bang it along the boards and down ice. Taken back again by the Wolfpack. 4 minutes to go in the first period. Into center ice. Wells up with it. As he enters the Rochester zone, the puck rolls into the corner. Taken by Hurlman. Bangs it off the glass, but not out. Kept in at the point by Jernander. Moving in Hurlman. Knocked again to the sideboard. Sapola trying to get it, but kept in at the left point by Hall. On the sideboard, Stock to the other side. Doig with a shot blocked away off the legs of Davidson. Stock gets it. Make that Doig gets it right back. Feet in front is deflected away. Kept in by the Wolfpack. Stock now with 5 seconds left for the penalty. Hall taking it. Long shot in, deflected wide. In the corner, back to the point. Penalty has expired. Doig side of the net. House in front, deflected away by Huda. Goes to the sideboard. Stock up with it as he's bumped there by Huda. Puck rolls down in the corner. And tied up is Wells, but gets away from Hurlbut. Wells digs it out. Sends it behind the Rochester net. It's Huda and Stock go down. The puck behind Jernet. They're running foot through across the goal mouth. And back to the point. Gets another shot in. Goes wide. At the point, Virtue on the sideboards and sends it behind the Amherst net to the other corner for Wells. A hit again on moving in. Bangs him. But at the point, kept in and Stock with a shot. Or make that Hall when the puck down at the point is cleared in behind the net for Stock. As he is hammered up against the backboards by Huda. Puck is on the ice, and the whistle will stop play, and it's getting ugly. 2:46 to go. First period, Hartford leading 2-0. You're watching the American Hockey League's Calder Cup Finals on the Empire Sports Network.
And welcome back to Rochester. Coming up in our first intermission, we'll talk with Amherst center Dominic Pittis. We'll also send it back to the Empire Sports Network studios, where Josh Moore has the sports report. He'll have an update for you, among other stories. John Rocker, the troubled Braves reliever, in trouble again. Also an update on the Stanley Cup Finals. And Don and John will have their analysis. Guys?
All right, Bob, thank you very much. And the noise picking up a little bit here at the Blue Cross Arena. The pom-poms, you see some of them, there's 10,000 provided tonight by the Buffalo Sabres and HSBC. They're joining in, supporting the Amherst here, Buffalo Sabres.
Well, the fans are doing their job. Now it's up to the Rochester Americans to give them something to wave those pom-poms about.
Ground Pierre up to wait for Aduno to center ice. As he moves forward, dumps it in, and LeBay stops it behind his net. Bounce it back in the corner. Aduno moving in, but can't come away. And it's carried off by the Wolfpack. Center ice too far ahead, turning back with Ground Pierre. Norton to Ground Pierre behind his net, rings it around the boards for Aduno as he's run from behind by Virtue. Puck is still on the sideboards, and now it's pulled loose by Kalinin. The center ice, but taken away at the red line. Turn lost and picked up by Rochester. Pittis in the top of the slot, spinning around, still has the puck. Looks at the front. Dumont can't reach it. That one pops up in the air, and it's in the slot. Hits a skate, comes loose. Backhanded, pops up in the air again. Dumont bumped from behind, but still keeps it in. Taken down to the sideboards is Pittis, no call. And the puck is brought up ice by the Wolfpack. Taken by Klocek, and now a penalty coming up as Pittis comes back, runs over Klocek. And this will be a slashing penalty. Slashing call coming up.
It's going to be against the Amherst.
Against Rochester. Dumont heading off the ice. Another penalty to the Amherst. Well, the fans are very upset because behind the play down ice, Pittis was taken down and no call there.
Now this is something similar to the game 3 where a lot of the penalties were called against the Amherst, and J.P. Dumont on the play here. Is this a slash? He comes across, and you know what? I don't know. That's a half. That is a slash, I guess. But you're trying to be a little generous. You got to remember, this is the 6th game of the Calder Cup Finals. Pittis just getting up from the ice. Let's give him a whack there. This referee really not making any kind of friends here in Rochester. I guess he's not supposed to make friends. Supposed to call it the way he sees it, but he's, he's being a little bit fair out there. He's missed a couple, at least, interference calls. There was one right behind the net there where the Amherst definitely, Doug Wood gets knocked down. The penalty killing unit. This is one of the guys, the leaders of the team, both Mike Hurlbut, Doug Huda. They've seen a lot of ice time. This is the 4th penalty in a row for the Hartford Wolfpack. That's 8 minutes, possibly out of a 20-minute period where the Amherst are a man short. The Wolfpack has already scored a power play goal. Have scored right at the end of a power play. I'll tell you what, you hate to say this, but if the Wolfpack or another goal, I don't know if the Amherst will be able to come back to it.
It's now a minute 52 to go in the first period. Power play opportunity number 4 of the game for the Wolfpack. It scored 1. Wells trying to bring it on in front. Is back to the point, kept in by Bannister. Shot in front, knocked down, and they're cleared away by Huda. Off the board down ice. It's Hook taken down, but well, I think you have to call that a dive.
Well, I don't care, Don. It's dive or interference. It's got to be interference. You know what? He's got his stick on it.
Shouldn't have the hook there in the first place.
Exactly.
On away and up ice as the puck is knocked loose and in the zone, and still not out. Kept in by the Wolfpack. In the slot, here's Daw, takes it. At the point, Daw looks around. Up top of the slot, and the fans starting to yell, "We want a ref." Well, they haven't had it all year from this guy, so why now? It's Huda in the corner, rips it away out and down ice. Certainly the Amherst have been getting used to it with Tim Peel.
Well, I'll tell you what, this referee right now, he sure really got to feel that not only are there a lot of scouts here, but there's also people evaluating his, and it's too bad that we're sitting here for the last minute and a half talking about the calls of the referee or non-calls of the referee instead of the 6th game of a final series.
Armstrong in the corner, that's dug out and back to the point for Terry Virtue. Finds the other side, taken there by Hall, and he'll shoot it off the boards in behind the net. In the skates of Holland. Out with an Armstrong once again as he's pushed to the corner. Being watched by Holland and now dumped to the ice. The puck in behind the net. It's pulled out to the slot. Virtue on the side. Gernander to Hall, but doesn't shoot as he's watched there by Aduno. Back at the point area, tipped in but goes wide, and Kalinin will bang it around behind the boards at the point, however, kept in by Virtue again. Deflected in the slot. Holland carries it to the backboards, but it's tied up. Armstrong taking it out. Puck rolls to the corner. Aduno, Hall collide there, and in behind the net. Armstrong in front, flipped to the goal, and score! Coming out in front, feet to Hall, a little flip shot off the left leg of Ford and in the net. Power play goal, and now the Wolfpack have taken a 3-0 lead.
And the Wolfpack they're doing everything right now. They're doing everything. They're getting two men on the puck. They're outworking the Amerks. The Amerks who normally get that puck in front of the puck. Watch this play behind the net. Just as the puck comes over to the Wolfpack player, and as Norden coming across from the right over to his left, it looks like it just catches the inside of his leg and goes in behind Mika Norden. And with 8 seconds to go, a power play goal for the Wolfpack. Vidahall gets the goal. But, you know, when things are going your way, they're going your way. And Vidahall gets the third goal, second power play goal of the night for the Wolfpack, and it's 3-0.
Well, Huda shoots it in on goal, and then stopped by LaBay as the horn sounds to end the first period. What a tough period for the Rochester Americans. What a great period for the Hartford Wolfpack. And Hartford well on its way to locking it up here tonight in Game 6. After 1 from the Blue Cross Arena, it is the Hartford Wolfpack 3, the Rochester Americans nothing. You're watching the American Hockey League's Calder Cup Finals on the Empire Sports Network.
This period of the Calder Cup Finals is brought to you by FoodLink. FoodLink, fighting waste, fighting want.
At the Blue Cross Arena, as the teams make their way onto the ice for the start of the second period tonight, it is a 3-0 lead for the Wolfpack over the Rochester Americans after 1 period of play. And this is the 3rd time in the playoffs for a relatively new franchise in the American Hockey League, the Hartford Wolfpack, and it's the 34th time in the playoffs for Rochester. Mika Norden, who has been outstanding through the season, having a tough night so far tonight. A youngster just 20 years of age from Finland. And back to those numbers as far as Rochester's concerned, 34 times in the playoffs, have won the Calder Cup Championship, 6 times and lost to the finals 9 times. This is the first ever trip to the finals for the Hartford Wolfpack. And they're taking full advantage of it so far.
Well, you say relatively new franchise. It's a relatively new city that they're in. They were in Binghamton for a lot of years with the Binghamton Rangers. This team just moved over from Binghamton over to Hartford. Hartford, you know, after they lost their National Hockey League club, they went down to Carolina. The Hartford Wolfpack went in there, and well, you talk about bringing hockey back into the Hartford area. This Wolfpack team sure has done that.
All right, center ice area face-off. Wolfpack with a nice, comfortable 3-0 lead. Also out shooting Rochester in that first period by a 10-4 margin. On the first Hartford goal, they changed an assist, taking it away from Virtue and giving it to Bannister. On the goal from Armstrong, from Smith and Bannister. Added 9:07 of the power play goal. Moving in Rochester, but that's cleared away. And out over the line to center ice. Bouncing puck. Comes loose. Going on, dumped in by Tezzolino. Turning backward goes Kalinin. Tezzolino winning the race to the puck. As they tie up there, the puck is behind the net. In the other corner for Grandpierre for Rochester. As he carries it out in front of his net. Grandpierre turning back, drops it off on the backboards, and Kalinin will send it around to the point area for O'Mell. Out over the line to center ice. Here's Sapola entering the zone, stops and looks. Feed through to the trailer. Kalina moving and shoots. Blocked away. And brought away by Tezzolino up ice. Hustling back to Sapola. On his heels is Kalina. Moving in. Shot blocked away by Norden. And the loose puck recovered by the average. Kalina out of the zone to center ice for Murphy. As a Finnegan off as the trailer. Murphy in the slot. Turns, takes a shot, but he missed wide right. Played off the boards at the point. Tipped in by Holland. In the corner. In there by a Finneganov. He turns to the sideboards and looks around. Finneganov through the slot, but no help, as Dumont couldn't get his stick down. Taken back by the Wolfpack, flipping it in out of the zone. At the red line, up with it. In the Rochester zone. Vidahall stops, looks around. Puck rolled away. Taken behind his net, Hurlbut. Brings it around the sideboards for the Finneganov. Back to Hurlbut. Enters neutral territory. Over the red line. Long shot in wide right. And it's cleared away by Klocek to the point. Kicked at, kept in. But no, dribbles out over the line. Turning back was a Finneganov. as the Hartford player is decked, and who is at into the Rochester bench is Armstrong. Here now in the zone is Van Owen. To Hurlman, feet in front, off the skate, goes wide behind the net. Cleared into the other corner after Dumont on Virtue as they tie up there. Huckins skates back to the point, kept in by a Finnegan. Shot in off the stick of LeBay, into stands, on the play. And I don't know, we might have a game going here yet. Rochester coming out flying here in the second period.
Well, that's what the Amerks are going to have to, they're in the locker room. They're saying, hey, we're going to have to chip away, and get the first one. And the Amerks, what a smart play by LeBay on that last shot out of the corner. It shows you how calm and cool he is. He saw that the Amerks are putting pressure on. The pass taken from a shot taken from a bad angle. But watch this play as Jason Holland takes out Armstrong, who's been, he figures, well, maybe this guy's been killing us. Maybe we better put him on our team. Here is a good shoulder check into Armstrong. It sends him right over the boards into the Amerk bench. How many of those Amerks do you think were trying to help Armstrong back onto the ice?
All of them. Yeah, right.
But the Amerks had a great opportunity. It was a nice play by Sapola, bringing the puck down the right wing boards, then dropping off to Kalinin. There's Kalinin right at the end of the bench, and there's Kalinin expressing his sentiments on that play. He had a golden opportunity moving in from the left point all the way in, and LeBay made the big save.
Campbell winds up with a shot, and that missed the short side. Harrington has it behind his net. Van Owen on him. Cleared around the wing. Campbell poking at it, but Smith digs it out. He'll turn and flip it off the glass to center ice. Wales lost control, and Amerks take it back. Huda tries the other side out of the zone to center ice. Purinton will knock it loose and chased after on the sideboards by Wells. She dumps it in the Rochester zone. Turning back for it goes Huda. Behind his net, around the right wing side. Gives by the point. Purinton with a long shot in missed, and that goes to the other corner. Campbell bumped there by Smith. It's taken feet in front by Dog. Deflected through and off in the corner on the near wing. Still kept in the corner. Trying to pull it loose, and he does as Huda. Cross rink to Duno, and ahead to center ice for Davidson with the pass behind him all the way down. No icing, it's waved off. Purinton back, and on his heels is Davidson. On the eye of the net, feet up the wing, getting to it at the point. Kalinin in the spot, Sapola, quick shot in, but no help there as Duno couldn't get his stick on it. Duno was in front of the net. On the way off the boards to center ice. Dog on the wing. Casalino, long shot in, and the pad save for Norton. Carried away there by Grand Pierre. He's dumped to his knees, gets a pass away, but taken right back by the Wolfpack. In his own stock, and he's tied up, and the puck carried away by Amel for the Amerks. Cross ring pass, Murphy chasing after it. In the corner as it goes behind the net. Backhanded by LeBay in the other corner. Centering pass, Amel in front of Sapola. Backhander, but the pass is knocked away by the sliding defenseman. And that was Virtue on the ice to block it away, and the whistle stops play. We talk things over. 16:42 to go. Second period. It's a 3-0 lead for the Wolfpack. You're watching the American Hockey League's Calder Cup Finals of the Empire Sports Network.
Back in Rochester, 3-0 Wolfpack continue to lead the Amerks. Just a couple of minutes ago, J.F. LeBay, the goaltender for the Wolfpack, run over by Denny Hamel on an attempted scoring chance. LeBay stretching afterwards. It's good, at least for him, that the puck ended up at the other end of the ice because his neck and back looked to be a little sore. He should be fine, but we noticed he was in a little bit of pain. We'll have to keep an eye on that as the game progresses, guys.
All right, Bob, and Bob standing right behind the glass, right behind LeBay, so we'll get a good look at that net during this period. Virtue carrying it behind his net. And having won the Calder Cup championship last year with the Providence Bruins as they defeated the Amerks in 5 games, 4-1. Out of the zone to center ice, and that's shot into the Rochester zone. Norton stops it there. Gano chasing Murphy. Gano digs it out, passing the slot, but there is Kalinin to chip it away to the blue line. Down out, another wrist shot in, then blocked away and out over the line to center ice by Amel. With Murphy 2-on-2, Amel winds up with a shot. Doesn't get through, dribbles it on goal, and off the stick of LeBay goes wide. Very cleared out of the zone. Evans taking it back. Off the wing for Sapola. As he is tied up there, it's loose, and now away with it is Grand Pierre. Tied up with the sideboards. And takes down Stock and a linesman. And the puck is flipped down to the Rochester blue line. Coming in with it there. Off to Grand Pierre. Weaves his way now into Hartford territory. Grand Pierre takes a look, takes a shot, but hits a skate. Hit his turn, takes a shot, and then went behind the net. Grabbed at the side of his net by LeBay. And he'll hold on for the face-off. Now we get Stock coming right back at Dumont. And they talk things over. Referee Tim Peel talking to Dumont, saying, settle down, a face-off coming up. Football fans, live arena football comes your way next Saturday night, 7:30. It's a battle for New York State with the Albany Firebirds travel to Buffalo to take on the Destroyers. Firebirds got the better of this matchup the first time around, so the Destroyers will be looking for revenge. And if you like hard-hitting action, then check out Arena Football. The Destroyers host the Firebirds Saturday night, 7:30, right here on the Empire Sports Network.
There's J.P. Dumont. You see over his left eye.
Got that last game in the boarding penalty of major game misconduct to defenseman Gary Virtue. Wiped out Dumont on the backboards.
You know, Coach John Paddock of the Hartford Wolfpack, he's probably telling his hockey club to see what happens. You lose your discipline, and let's stay out of the penalty box, make sure we don't get any penalties, and don't give them any chance to get back in this game.
Cleared behind the net, in from the right point, Huda, but can't keep it in as that one is flipped in the air and ends up in the Hartford player bench.
And the Amherst are going to have to fight through. They want to get back in this game. You know, there's still 50 minutes and 31 seconds to go into the second period. And again, one of the things, if you're down by a score of 3-0, it's going to be frustrating as heck because you're going to see the Wolfpack do, all they're going to do is play a defensive style of game right now. They have enough goals, more than enough goals to win this game. So the Amherst are going to have to do something, maybe the force the Wolfpack into taking a penalty, get the forecheck going, do something that they weren't able to do in that first period, and that's play even strength.
Face off in the Hartford zone. Pittis between Dumont and Afinogenov. With Huda and Campbell, the defenseman, the puck rolls to the corner. Virtue carries it in behind. Drops it off of the backboards for Klocek, and a pass to the slot for Armstrong, and up the wing out over the line to center ice. Taken back by Afinogenov, who drops it back in his own zone for Campbell to Huda, and out of the zone to center ice. And center ice taken down by Armstrong, and he'll turn and flip it across the Rochester blue line where Campbell is up with it. Afinogenov turns back in the corner. That's Afinogenov, who played for Russia in the World Championships and then returned here to Rochester. That's cleared off his stick. Taken back with a Dumont at center ice as he turns. Leads the playoffs with 14 goals so far. Pass off to Afinogenov. In front the other side as Pittis was breaking up the wing and couldn't get to it. Afinogenov still down to the ice. That's cleared into the Rochester zone. Afinogenov slow getting up. Campbell from behind his net. Brings it away to center ice. Pittis at the red line. In over the blue line. Pass off to Campbell. Trying to feed in front, but it's offside. The whistle blows. And Afinogenov is off the ice, and the Amherst are extremely upset again.
Well, he gets a stick in the face, and look at Afinogenov around the throat area. And I was watching as he made the play across, and Afinogenov as he's hunched over in the bench. This referee is not going to call anything, and you know what? Maybe he saw the whole play. Maybe he just said it was an accident. I don't know what, but Coach Brian McCutcheon standing on the bench here. We'll see Afinogenov. Watch the top of the screen as Afinogenov tries to get that pass across. Virtue comes across to slide the puck, and he gets a stick right up in the face of Afinogenov. We've seen less penalties, less than that happen, and a penalty being called. You have to be in control of that stick.
Got it right up in the nose. Should be all right. Off the glass, to the point. Kept in by Van Oen this time. As he goes to the corner, Francois Mathot now on the ice between Aduno and Van Oen. And in behind the net, cleared off on the wing for Doig. He'll flip it in the air and out to center ice. Smith dropping off. Here's Daw on the attack. Being watched closely by Mathot, and the puck is taken away by Holland. To Van Oen. Out with it again. The Wolfpack at center ice. Doig to Wells. Out over the line to center ice. Like an offside pass. They're taken by Smith as he enters his zone. He'll drop it off the boards and around behind the Rochester net. Dodd tied up there by Hurlman and taken down. And now the puck carried away by Holland. Pass to the slot. Mathot up with it. Feeds it out to center ice. Carrying on as Hurlman winds up with a long shot in, but deflected wide. Wells is back. Make that Purinton. Flips it high in the air and out to center ice. That's off the glove of Smith into the Rochester zone, and here's taken by Kalina. Advances it down, a breakaway for Hamel, moving in, shoots, he scores! Danny Hamel, upper right corner, puts the Rochester Americans on the board. That makes it 3-1.
Well, just as I was thinking, boy, this game has really got to a snail's pace. The Amherst catch the Wolfpack on a change. And Hamel gets a beautiful pass, and he on a breakaway. It's you talk about a defensive breakdown, and that's got to give the Amherst a little bit of life. Watch Hamel on this play. He has his head right up, snaps it right over top the left shoulder of the goaltender LeBay. Look what he's doing. He knows what he's going to be doing. He looked the spot, picked the spot where he's going to shoot it, and he gets it right underneath a perfect shot to beat the goaltender LeBay, and it gets the Amherst right back into this hockey game. Amherst are going to have to worry. That's what they have to worry about right now. Putting that puck in the net. Forget about the referee. Forget about the non-goals. And there's a guy that needs to get a goal to get this Amherst going. Take a little bit of pressure off of the big line of Pittis, J.P. Dumont, and Aduno.
All right, face face-off coming up. By the way, I think I said Tim Peel was the referee. They changed it so many times. Very confusing, but it's Brad Meyer is the referee. Brad Meyer is the referee here. All right, so all those things I said about Tim Peel I have to take back now, right, John?
Right. Send him a note this summer. Invite him to your golf tournament.
There you go. The pass out to center ice. Hopped over the stick of Kalinin. Rochester on the board to make it 3-1. And it's poke checked off on the sideboards by Norton. Getting to it, Sapola. Flips it away and out of the zone to center ice. Bannister for the Wolfpack to Hall. He'll dump it into the Rochester zone in the corner and Stock after it there. On him is Sapola. Tied up at Kalinin. Backhands it around behind the net. Right away. Ground Pierre to center ice for Amel. And Sapola with it. Here's Amel. Takes the shot. Missed the short side. That's off on the left wing side and still kept in by Kalinin. As they jam up with the sideboards. And now it's picked out of the corner by Tuzolino. Flips it in the air to center ice. Down by Grand Pierre in the zone, but the lay offside, it's carried up ice by Tuzolino. Lines up with a shot, a riser over top of the Rochester net. On the other side, Stock is tied up there, comes out in front, and with it kicked out over the line by Amel. Pushes it ahead for Murphy, but no gas left, and the Amerks will make a quick line change. Right away by the Wolfpack. In on the breakaway, Armstrong trying to get to it, but poked away by Norton. Armstrong in the corner, tied up there along with Huda. As they battle for the puck in the corner. That's pulled along the sideboards and now carried off by Dumont. J.P. Dumont to finish. On the wing, enters the zone. Back to Dumont. Give it go. Quick shot off the right knee of LeBay. Nice save there. And the puck is backhanded out and down ice. Back goes Campbell.
Well, I really like the way that LeBay, he gets that shot away so quick. That quick snapshot. He gets a nice pass by from Dominic Pittis and just lets that quick snapshot go and trying to go for the far side. LeBay makes a blocker save.
Shot from behind the net. In behind the net, Dumont dropping it off of the backboards for Campbell. Off the right wing to a Finneganov, who's back on the ice and feeds to the center ice for Pittis. With Dumont 2-on-3. Top pass for Dumont. In slot, weaving his way in, and then he's taken off the puck, and it's cleared away in the air out of down ice. Norton with a quick pass off of the left wing side to center ice, chased down by Campbell. Enters the zone, off of the sideboards. As the puck rolls free and in the corner, taken in front. Jump over the top of the net by a Finneganov. Back to the boards to the point area and out over the line to center ice where it's picked up by Hurlbut of the Amerks. Shoots it ahead to the Wolfpack blue line, but Daw takes it the other way. Into the Rochester zone. Moving in, wrist shot, knocked down by Norton. Rebound. It's under the pad of Norton and he holds on and has some pushing in the side of the net. 11 to go, second period. It's 3-1 in favor of the Wolfpack, and you're watching the American Hockey League's Calder Cup Finals on the Empire Sports Network.
Well, Don, I hope that goal, or the Amerks hope that goal by Denny Hamel to make it a 3-1 game will give them a little bit of life. There's a little bit more life on that bench. You can see them, but one of the things they cannot do is to start taking those chances. Mike Hurlbut standing up at the blue line, allowing Jason Dodges, when you're standing still, the player who's moving has the advantage. He gives you a deke one way, you lunge there, you're standing still, he just goes right around you. And Doc, who's scored some important goals for the Wolfpack in this series, had a good opportunity and came in, but Norton stoned him on the short side.
Hartford scored 3 goals in the first period. Rochester has come back and gotten on the board in the second period. Denny Amel, who had only 1 assist in his previous 6 games, that comes up with a goal here tonight. That's his 6th of the playoffs. Dimitri Kalina with a lone assist. And the puck is all the way down to the Hartford blue line. Turns it along the sideboards, up at his own blue line. It's taken there by Holland. Off to Hurlbut, and ahead to center ice for Laduno. As it's taken by Van Owen and dumped the rest of the way in behind the Hartford net. Bay shoots it around the board. Smith bumps from behind. Puck at the point kept in by Holland. Shot goes wide and behind. Purinton in the corner is tied up in the sideboards. And now in the corner, Laduno after, but can't come up with the Wolfpack. Bring it away. Up ice. Into the Rochester zone. Pass on the wing for Wells. Too far ahead and rolls behind the net. And Wells then hammered up against the backboards by Holland. To the point, kept in. And behind the net, Wells trying to draw it out in front. Smith takes it, goes to the corner boards. As he tried to feed it in front, but that one is hammered away off the boards by Aduno and out to center ice. Wolfpack have it again at the red line. Bannister is bumped to the sideboards by Davidson. Puck is in there, skates and kick loose. The Amerks have it. Ahead for Aduno, but gets away from him and recovered by Hall in his own zone for the Wolfpack. Quickly throws it up the right wing to Stock at center ice. As he crosses the red line, dumps it in. Turning back goes Kalinin to the corner. Ran to the corner boards. It's at the point, kept in. Shot in over top of the net. Goes to the other side of the point, kept in by Bannister. Down behind the Rochester net. Stock on the backboard. Turned back by Kalinin, but goes the other way. Trying to bring it out in front, and Sapola's on him. Stock still in the corner, twisting and turning. Gives it off. Feed out top. Dropped off on the left wing side for Hall as he moves in and shot around behind the Rochester net. And then taken by Murphy. Way out over the line to center ice at the red line, but taken right back by the Wolfpack. Here's Hall, flips it deep in the Rochester zone, and stick stop there for Norton. Kalinin in the corner, head to center ice, but over the stick of Sapola, all the way down on goal, so no icing. Cleared away to the point, kept in by Sapola. In the corner as he is tied up and taken down in the corner. As they get back up, fighting for the puck, dug out by Amel. Rembrandt attempted fun, but off the skate goes wide. Brought off by the Wolfpack. Here's Stock on the left wing side for Vita. Back to Stock and a give and go. Swept away in the corner by Campbell. Off the wing to center ice again. Pittis with it. Feeds it off to Dumont. Enters the Hartford zone. Drops it back. Campbell with a wrist shot. Goes wide. Back in the right point area. Bring in Grandpierre. Can't keep it in. That's all the way through. And down to the Rochester blue line. Getting back is Pittis as he's tied up. Puck rolls to the corner behind the net. After it, Vital centered in front, but there with the puck for the Amerks is Pittis. Turning behind his net to get away from Armstrong. Dominic Pittis. To center ice for Dumont. Dropping it back to Pittis. He'll dump it behind the net. LeBay stops it there, and it rolls off in the corner, getting to it. Dumont to chip it loose. Off the leg of Pittis goes to the corner. In the corner. Now behind the net. Finnegan, a backhander in front, but intercepted and carried away by the Wolfpack. One-handed to center ice by Wells for Armstrong. She'll shoot it in wide to the Amerks net. It goes to the corner. After there, Wells tying up with Pittis. Puck is in there, skates. Still in the corner is Pittis, pushing Wells from behind. Trying to get it loose. Wells has great reach. He is a big man.
He's standing 6'5", and he just did the big difference right there where, he's hunched over on the side, and he just outworking Dominic Pittis.
Well, finally, the puck tied up for the whistle. 7:58 to go in the second period. The Wolfpack 3, the Amerks 1. You're watching the American Hockey League Calder Cup Finals on the Empire Sports Network. Blue Cross Arena. And it's been pretty quiet in the house since back in the first period when the Wolfpack scored 3 goals. They had a little bit to cheer about here in Rochester in the second period, but certainly looking for more to cheer about, John.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, that if the Rochester Americans are able to get another goal in this second period, these fans here, these 11,000 fans, as we're taking a good look at giving a good look at some of them, will really be on the edge of their seats and up doing some cheering for the Amerks. I don't know if it's they have to, but the Amerks would sure like to get another goal in this another final 8 minutes of this second period.
Doig with a shot, deflects in, a knuckleball, and finally grabbed by Norton. It looked like it was going to take about a month to get to the net.
I was just going to say, it took about a year to come down the ice, and everything looked like it was suspended in time right there as the shot is taken by Doig. It hits a foot. It's a knuckleball. Watch it. Finally, it just comes down right into the chest of Mika Norton. If this was the first period, I would have bet that puck would have went in the net because everything was going the Wolfpack way.
Had a great year Norton had during the regular season. Again, the rookie of the year in the league, and tied with Martin Brochu for second in the league at a 2.18 goals against average. Had the most wins in the league this season with 33. Back to the point, the left side. Doig moves in, takes a shot, doesn't get through. Rebound in front, grab over the puck, and it's carried away. Wow, was that close? Down over the line to center ice. On with the Wolfpack again. Urrington leads the left wing side and deflected in behind the Rochester net. Turning back for it goes Hurlbut. Getting there, and it's an icing call. 7:33 to go. Second period. 3-1 Hartford lead. Mike Hurlbut puts everything he has into his game. And what a great captain he has been for this organization.
Oh, he sure has, and did a tremendous job of getting to that puck before Smith did of the Wolfpack to force the icing call.
If you love horse racing, tune in tonight at midnight for Fort Erie's Photo Finish. Get all the news and results from today's big racing day at Fort Erie Racetrack. If you love racing, you don't want to miss it. Fort Erie's Photo Finish tonight, midnight on Empire Sports. Face off into the Hartford zone. You look at Brad Smith at the end of the Wolfpack bench.
Shots on goal. The Wolfpack outshooting the Rochester Americans 17-8, 10-4, 7-4 in this second period. Amerks want to get more shots on goal towards LeBay.
We were talking about how Hartford has scored the first goal in every game in this series. Rochester has led in shots in every game in this series. And in fact has led in shots in their last 7 games in the playoffs. But Hartford with a big edge here tonight so far. Round to the point. That's out over the line. And so chased down at center ice by the Amerks. Up with it is Murphy. Drops it to Grand-Pierre and off to Kalinin. Ahead to center ice for Sapola. Sapola between Murphy and Amel. On the ice for the Amerks. Turning back in the corner is Hall for the Wolfpack. And he stops to avoid the check of Murphy. Moving in from the point. Grand-Pierre in front pass. But Sapola tied up. Couldn't get his stick down. Carried away by Gano and off ice for the Wolfpack. As he tries to move around, Kalinin can't do it. And Amel able to slip it out over the line to center ice. Wolfpack have it back. Bannister demands it to Gano. And his pass over the wing. Gets away from Tuzolino. Hammond shoot it back inside the Hartford blue line. Back have it again. Pass ahead, stopped at the blue line. Taken away by Kalinin. And it rolls off his stick, turns back for it. Coming out in front of his net. Pass to the slot, grab. By Tuzolino, takes a shot. And blocked away. Oh, almost a very costly giveaway for the Amerks right there. Out of the zone to center ice. Taken by the Wolfpack and shot in. Ander hammers it around behind the Amerks net. Getting to it is Kalinin. Tries the wing at the point, however, kept in by Virtue. Shot wide to the other side. It's Jernander in behind the net for Armstrong. Kalinin on him. Armstrong tying up, looking to bring it out in front. Has it, turning back to the corner once again. As he's bumped by Kalinin. Puck is in there, skates, moving in and watching on is Dominic Pittis for the Amerks. He'll feed it on the sideboard for Dumont. Sends it out over the line to center ice. Virtue at his own blue line. Tries to get away from a Finneganov. As the puck is ahead to center ice, Armstrong, but knocked down. Armstrong takes it again, and now backhands it in. Rochester after the puck. Uda in the corner. Quickly up the left wing side for Pittis, but bounced off his stick. Cleared ahead by the Wolfpack. Bouncing inside the Hartford blue line. Out over the line again. Taken by Pittis. Waiting for Dumont to get onside. The puck taken away by Daw of the Wolfpack. Lifted in the air down to the Rochester blue line. Was grabbed by Campbell. To Huda. Into center ice, but Virtue steps up on that pass. Huda gets it back again. Tries to Dumont. Hops over his stick. Taken down by Daw and dumped in. After it, in behind his net, goes Huda, rings it around the boards and out over the line to center ice. Purinton on the right side. Boyd shoots it in behind the Amerks net. Stopped to the backboards by Norman. Huda takes it there in the corner. Campbell ahead on the wing for Finneganov. Center ice for Mathot. As he moves up ice to Davidson, back to Mathot in the slot. And can't take the return pass, and the puck goes to the corner. Wells will slide it along the boards, out over the line. Recovering the puck. Huda to Campbell. On the left wing side for Aduno. Backhands it in. Davidson chasing in the corner. Digs it out. Davidson turning on the sideboards. Able to drop it off in the corner for Mathot. Coming out in front. Takes a shot in. Mathot behind the net. As he spins around and slides into the point for Huda. Shot in. That's tipped wide. Mathot in the corner. Looks things over. Drops it off in the corner boards. And the puck now is cleared away on and down ice by Daw. The Amerks back for it. 4.5 minutes to go. This will stop play here. And so you have a penalty coming up. Too many men on the ice against the Wolfpack. Rochester goes to the power play again. 4.5 minutes to go. Second period. It's the Wolfpack leading 3-1. You're watching the American Hockey League on the Empire Sports Network.
Ahead in our second period intermission, we will talk to former Amerks center Mike Harder, now a member of the Hartford Wolfpack, but injured, unable to play tonight. Also, we'll head back to our studios. Josh Moore will have an Empire Sports Report update the day and night of Major League Baseball. Don and John with their second period analysis. Guys?
Bob, thank you very much. And as now, there was not too many men on the ice against the Wolfpack. I thought that referee Meyer was counting the number of players on the ice, but actually what he was doing was pointing at Purinton of the Wolfpack and Huda of the Amerks, and they both go off 2 for slashing. So each team is a man short for the next 2 minutes. Center ice area. Hall on the wing. Turns it ahead, throws it cross rank. Armstrong up with it, but turns back again. Feeds it to center ice for Vita Hall. Working up the wing, being watched by Campbell. Takes a quick wrist shot and it goes wide. The point kept in by Hall. Lines up with the shot. That one dribbles in, hits a skate down in front. Loose puck dug out by the Wolfpack. In the corner, Armstrong spinning, looking to get away from Campbell. And he does. Armstrong still on the sideboards. Check to the boards again by Campbell. In to help out is Sapola. Trying to pull it loose, but now dug out by Vita Hall. And he goes to the corner. The Rochester player going down is Hurlbut. The puck rolls to the backboard after Campbell brings it away. Gives it off. Here's Sapola. Over the red line, over the blue line, throws it back on top, but it's behind everybody, carried away by Smith. Trying to get back is Grand-Pierre, draw pass in front, and the Wolfpack unable to get the shot away. behind the net for Kalinin. Trailer on the play, by the way, was Daw. On the way and out, Vice Kalinin, pass ahead over the stick of Sapolin all the way down. Could be an icy call. Yes, it is. 3:22 to go in the second period. Hartford still leading at this point 3-1.
You know, what a nice play by Jean-Luc Grandpierre as a turnover at the blue line. And Brad Smith, it looked like he had was going to have a partial breakaway, but Jean-Luc Grandpierre with his great speed came right back and forced the play. As we watch this play going on, Smith watched Grandpierre coming in from the left-hand side. He just forces Smith wide, and Smith's not taking any chances. But you know what's happened to Smith as soon as he got rid of that puck and he finish off your check. Jean-Luc Grandpierre finished up his check, and Smith went crashing into the board.
Face off. Back to the point, taken there by Klocek. Shot in, blocked away by Pittis. At the line, can't get it out. Now feeds to the center ice for Dumont. It has Kalinin with it. Dumont trying to slide it in over the line. He does get it across the line, but ahead of the play is Kalinin. And it's an offside whistle. 3:10 to go in the second period. 3-1 in favor of Hartford.
Shots on goal, 17-9 in favor of the Hartford Wolfpack. Look at J.P. Dumont. He wants to get in track tonight. He's one of the guys the amateurs are going to have to key on.
If you love sports, you've got to watch Fan TV. Weekdays, 4:30, weeknights, 9:30. Tune in for the latest news from the NHL, NBA, and arena football. Monday afternoon, the gang will take a look at the NBA playoffs and talk Buffalo Sabres hockey. Fan TV. Don't miss it. Right here on Empire Sports. On the face-off, Wolfpack with the puck. Hartford trying to close it out in 6 here tonight. Rochester trying to get back into this game to force a 7th game on Wednesday in Hartford. Right on ice. Hartford on the left wing side. Klocek entering the Rochester zone. In the corner. Throws it across the goal mouth out the other side. Kept in by Virtue as he tips it to the corner. Taken by Dominic Pittis. Pittis, 26 assists in the playoff, setting a new franchise record and tying an American Hockey League record with 26 assists in the playoffs. Set by Bill McDougall back in '93. Pittis needing an assist to set a new record. Now at center ice, taken by Holland. The head on the wing for Pittis, in over the line, but that's another offside whistle. Dominic Pittis coming into tonight, having 30 points in the playoffs so far. They've been doing extremely well, rolling right along. However, coming here against Hartford has really been slowed up by the Wolfpack and has just 3 assists in the series.
There's a good look at the stats. Dominic Pittis, 4 goals, 26 assists, 21 games, 30 points. You know, if he doesn't, with Dominic Pittis, I'm sure there's a couple expansion teams, Columbus and Minnesota coming into the National Hockey League next year. Dominic feels that he will be going somewhere. If they, he thought that maybe the Buffalo Sabres would give him a chance. Took him a little while after he was sent back down by the Buffalo Sabres to get back in the groove. And boy, what a leader he's been for Rochester.
At the center ice of the red line, who did the fire it in? Turning back, all in behind his net. Pass on the wing and ahead. Wells on over the line to center ice. Taken again by Huda. He gets tied up in the sideboards, trying to dump it in, lost it, gets it back, pass, it's escape, controlled by the Wolfpack, and he's down in his own zone by Campbell. He's tracked around behind his net. There by Daw, drops it off for Huda. Watched in front by Wells. Huda up the wing to a Finnegan-off. Turns back to get away from Smith, and he'll play it to Campbell and up the wing down to center ice for Aduno. Getting away from Daw, taken down. He has the puck in his skates, and now it's controlled by Mathot. Feeds it off to a Finnegan-off, who dumps it in. Trying to get away for the puck is Aduno as it goes to the corner, and he does. Throws it through the slot for Holland. Able to reach it, poke it to keep it in. The puck goes in the corner. Bannister will hammer it around behind the net all the way on the other side and out over the line to center ice. 1:25 to go, second period. Feed ahead from Amel as he enters the zone on the left wing, dumps it in, and around behind the Wolfpack net. Moving into the corner is Murphy. Goes it behind the net. Shoots around behind, and Amel runs over Bannister. Shot in, knocked down in front of the net. Where's the puck? It's tied up in the equipment of Bannister. And the whistle stops play. Nobody knows where the puck is at the moment. Oh, it's up his pant leg. There you go, hiding the puck again.
Delay a game penalty.
Delay a game, absolutely.
What a game Bannister is having for the Hartford Wolfpack. And you take a good look at this. Watch Denny Hamel. You talk about, if somebody's going to interfere with you, you go right through that check, and Hamel went right through Bannister, and the puck just came right up. I'm going to get into the back of the leg. Maybe we'll get a good view of it here. Here it is. Goes off of his stick. Right at his bat.
You're right, John. It should be delayed. It went off his stick. He did it himself. Now, Hartford looking for their first ever championship in the city of Hartford. Professional championship, as I understand it. From the face-off to the left point, Hurlbut takes a shot in, missed the net, goes around behind. Played away at the point, kept in by Holland. He'll dump it in the corner. Amel in behind the net. Sapola right back to Denny. Amel takes a shot to the short side. Off the glove of LeVay, goes behind. It comes to the near corner. A minute to go in the period. In behind the net as they tie up. Amel moving in. They kick it loose along the backboards. Here's Pittis, and he's taken down. Now has it in his skates. On away by Armstrong to the point. Kept in by Hurlbut. Hits the long shot in. That's the puck that goes by. Sapola spins in a shot. Hits the skate in front and carried away by the Wolfpack. Off ice is Tuzolino. Slides it around behind the Rochester net. And in for the left point is Godot to keep it in. Chased by Holland behind the net. Pass on the backboards, feet in front, and it's intercepted there by Dumont. Is bumped off the puck by Tuzolino. Back at the point area, now kicked away by Hurlbut out over the line to center ice. Hit is up the right wing. In the zone, Sapola. Feet in front, doesn't get through. Batted away to the point, kept in now by Holland. Shoots it around behind the net. Take it there. Dumont, backhand in front and swept away. Top of the start. Hurlbut takes a swipe out of a miss, and that's going to be it for the period. So Rochester applying the pressure near the end of the period, but unable to come up with another one. And they're trailing here by 2 after 2 periods of play. Certainly it's better for the Amherst to be trailing by 2 rather than 3. But you know that they darn well wanted to come up with a second goal before the end of the second period.
And they came close. They had a couple good chances. As we look at Tuzolino of the Hartford Wolfpack there, sighing a little bit of a sigh of relief out there for the Wolfpack because the Amherst did come close. And if they would have made it a 3-2 lead, 3-2 game, the Amherst would have a lot of momentum going into the third period. And the Hartford Wolfpack could be in a little bit of trouble. With the 3-1 lead, Wolfpack look like they're in control of this game.
We have completed 2. One more period to go before what? The championship might be from the Blue Cross Arena in Rochester. The Wolfpack leading 3-1. You're watching the American Hockey League's Calder Cup Finals on the Empire Sports Network.
This period of the Calder Cup Finals is brought to you by Food Link.
All right, after 2 periods of play. Game 6 of the AHL Calder Cup Finals. The Wolfpack of Hartford leading the Rochester Americans. The score is 3-1. And welcome back here in the bowels of Blue Cross Arena. Bob Trimble joined by former Amherst center Mike Harder. And Mike, now a member of the Hartford Wolfpack, but a little injured tonight, unable to play. How hard is it to watch?
Oh, it's incredibly hard. I think I've gone through about 17 packs of gum already and a couple soles on my shoes. So it's been really tough. I'm sitting back here and watching the game on TV. So it's tough, but I can handle 20 more minutes, I think.
Yeah, well, 20 minutes is all it takes for this team to be the AHL Calder Cup champions. You were in this position a year ago with Rochester. It's a different kind of thing now with the potential here to win now.
Yeah, it's really tough. There's a lot of hockey to be played, first of all, but hopefully if we play a smart period and with JF LeBay back there, it'll be tough for the Amherst to come back. But still, I can't count the Amherst out yet. They have a lot of scoring ability up front, and it's tough. It's tough for both teams right now, and it's a shame that one team will have to lose eventually. So it's going to be a long summer for either one of these teams.
I think it's like all of us when we're little kids. You know, you're friends with everybody, but when you're on another team, you throw out the friendship, right? You want to win.
Oh, there's no question. I mean, I think I have some pretty good friends. Maybe I think that more than they think that, but it'll be tough. Yeah, we throw the friendship out for a little bit. But that being said, I hopefully we'll still be friends after when we're shaking hands post-game, eventually, either tonight or Wednesday night, Game 7.
When you look at the two teams, can you compare this roster with what you were with last year with these guys, with the Amherst?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, both great coaches. You know, they have a hard-working team ethic, great goaltenders, both squads, and a solid core veteran defense. So, and a little bit of ability to score up front. So yeah, they're quite comparable. And you know, fortunately for myself, I was able to play on two teams that went so deep into June.
Here's the question. Better to lose and be out on the ice or to win and be sitting back here?
I mean, everybody loves a winner, so I mean, I'll take a win anyway. I can get it, injured or not. I'd love to win.
Mike Harder, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, Bob.
Mike Harder, the former Amherst centerman, 3-1 right now. The score after 2 periods of play. The Buffalo Sabres Brain Trust, including General Manager Darcy Reguer and head coach Lindy Ruff, and the guys on hand tonight. They're hoping to get a couple of goals to tie this one and possibly go into overtime. 3-1 after 2 periods of play. When we come back, Josh Mora and Empire Sports Report update live here in Empire.
if the Amherst played a better period or Hartford just sat back. You know, with a 3-0 lead, you're in a could be the final game. You want to make sure you stay out of the penalty box, get the puck out of your zone, and that's exactly what the Hartford Wolfpack did.
1 goal scored in that period, and that by Denny Amell of Rochester.
You know, the Denny Amell makes a nice play. This is the food link feed of the game. Fighting waste, fighting want. Kalinin gets the puck up to Denny Hamel, and it's one of the first and only breakdown by the Hartford Wolfpack. Hamel breaks in on a breakaway, goes over top the left shoulder of the goaltender LeBay, and that's the food link feed of the game. Fighting waste, fighting want.
Denny Amell scoring in the upper corner once again over the glove of LeBay.
And that was a perfect shot, and that it looks like that's the only thing that's going to be able to beat LeBay tonight.
So Amell with his 6th of the playoffs. The defenseman Dmitry Kalinin with a lone assist on that one. And let's take a look at the Dodge second period statistics. In that period, the Wolfpack still with a 3-1 lead and shots heavily in their favor also.
Well, it sure is. Look at the shots on goal, 17-9 in favor of the Wolfpack. The Amherst are going to have to start taking some chances. Face-offs, 18 of 15 in favor of the Wolfpack. It seemed like the Wolfpack, whenever they needed a face-off win, they were able to get it. The big thing is the Wolfpack in that first period, 2 for 4 on the power play. The Amherst have yet to have a power play.
Well, as we move now to the third period, certainly it's, I guess it's no secret that Rochester has to score a couple of goals and has to maybe come up with one pretty quick. In fact, not only do they have to score in the game now 2 goals to catch up, but they'd have to score a third one to win it. So they have to score 3 goals against the team that finished the best defensively in the regular season.
And I think one of the things that the Amherst have to do is they have to start or force the Wolfpack into playing with a little pressure on them. The Wolfpack in this game tonight has had no pressure on them at all. So if the Amherst are able to score a goal, they're going to put a little pressure on the Wolfpack. You know, they're going to start grabbing their sticks just a little bit more tighter. They're going to be making their passes just a little bit quicker. Right now, the Wolfpack have dominated in this hockey game, and that's why they're up 3-1. So the Amherst are going to have to come out, and they're going to have to start getting that puck in deep, starting skating fight through the checks, just like we saw at the tail end of that second period where Denny Amell just ran over top the defenseman Bannister, who's trying to make a pick on him. You know, he's trying to slow down the Hamel, so he's allowing his defenseman to get to that puck and get it out. You can't give them that much time.
Third period action coming up. Blue Cross Arena. This is the Calder Cup Finals in the American Hockey League in Hartford, leading 3-1 after 2. You're watching the Empire Sports Network.
This intermission is brought to you by the Dodge dealers. Make a different statement. Dodge. Different.
What does ESL mean to you?
ESL?
Oh, our mortgage. They showed us every way to save on our loan.
Find out what ESL can mean to you.
Escaloni from Sorbital and Bijou down over on the foot.
There's heart-pounding excitement waiting for you at all OTB branches. Thoroughbred simulcast each afternoon and harness simulcast each evening. OTB's non-stop racing action. See this year's top thoroughbreds compete. The thrilling action is taking place at OTB. Racing excitement at OTB.
Wherever you turn these days, there are more so-called auto credit specialists than...
At the Blue Cross Arena tonight, Hartford trying to do something that has happened only one time previously in the history of the Rochester Americans franchise, and that's to come into this building and skate away with the Calder Cup. It happened one time before, and that by the Maine Mariners back in the 60s. Other times than that the Amherst have lost in the finals have all been in the other team's building, so it hasn't happened very often. And Rochester doing its best here to try and avoid that situation here tonight. This is brought off ice now by Amell, hooked down by Gano, and no call. That bounced up in the stands and out of play, so again, no call, and already the fans are very displeased with the referee, Brad Meyer, here tonight.
Well, Denny Hamel does what he wants to do with the puck. He makes a nice play to give his defenseman an out of his zone. Defenseman behind the net, he makes a clearing pass to Hamel. Hamel's skating, gets just hooked up by Gano, and, you know, and I mean, people at home, you're watching this. That's a penalty, and no penalty was called. It's really got to be frustrating to a lot of these Amherst players that none of these calls are. If you look at the Amherst bench, the Amherst are 1-6 when trailing after 2 periods. And they've had a terrible record all year long when they're trailing after 2 periods.
1 win, 21 losses, 4 ties during the regular season. So they've done it twice all year, once in the regular season, once in the playoffs, coming from behind in the third period to win a game. So past history would say then that Hartford has the edge, and certainly they're playing like they have the edge, as John talked about during the intermission. Certainly playing with a lot of confidence at this point, as they well should be. Here's Sapola over the line. Stops, looking for someone to feed it to, throws it toward the net, scooped up by LeBay, and he'll hold on for the face-off. Dave LeBay is 5-0 in elimination games this year, but it doesn't look like this season doesn't look like it's going to go to that elimination game to be only game 7.
Well, here's the Wolfpack 10-2 when leading after 2 periods. So there's a team, as you mentioned, why they were the best offensive squad or team in the American Hockey League during the course of the season. They get that lead, and they have some very good defensemen out there. You look at Virtue, Puritan plays good, strong, and tough. Bannister, but with Virtue and Bannister, they're the core of the defensemen, and they see an awful lot of ice time and do just a tremendous job out there for the Wolfpack, settling things down, getting the puck out of the zone.
Round behind the net as the Amerks have Pittis, Dubon, and Afinogenov up front. And the defenseman, Campbell and Huda. Tries the right wing side to Afinogenov at the red line. He'll wheel it up the right wing and in over the line. Pittis, but lost it off his stick and is taken right back by the Wolfpack. Straight up ice by Hartford. Lead to Hall on the right wing side. Shoots it in behind the Amerks net. Dornan stops it there for Huda. Rounded out the right side. Pass back on the left wing boards to Dumont. Over the red line, giving it off down to Afinogenov. Breaking in, takes a shot, a riser into the chest of LeBay, who has it and holds on for the face-off. Minute 21 played so far in the third period, and Hartford continuing to lead 3-1.
And that's what the Amerks want to do, get some shots towards the goal, and Afinogenov, get him moving. As we see Afinogenov getting return pass from LeBay, coming down on one-on-one. Nice job breaking down the wing and letting that quick shot go. That it's a riser that catches LeBay in the chest, and he holds on. But you want to take a shot from Dornan. You do 2 things there. First of all, you set the goalie up for the next shot, maybe a low shot, and you also set the defenseman up, where the defenseman will think that Afinogenov coming down the left wing boards will maybe take a slap shot, and they'll give Afinogenov a step or 2 to maybe go around him.
Now the most luck the Amerks have had on LeBay in this playoff series is on the rebound shots, but a couple of things right there. LeBay not giving up a rebound. The second thing, there was nobody else in front of the net. There's a shot in, but doesn't get through, and it's played to the point, knocked down by Hurlbut, not out over the line. Out of the Rochester blue line, where it's taken by Holland. He'll wheel it off the right wing boards to center ice. Kicked that by Klocek, and then dumped back in the Rochester zone on goal. Dornan pulls it behind his net, taken there by Holland. As he's chasing behind, reverses it behind the net for Hurlbut. Plays it around the wing for Afinogenov. Backhanded pass to Pittis, but rolled off his stick and taken back and shot in behind the Amerks net. That one sneaks by Dornan. Around the boards to Hurlbut. Flips it in the air to center ice. Wells lost control of it. At the Hartford blue line, Virtue pass off to his defensive partner, Purington. And the Rochester blue line, and taken by Holland to Kalinin. The center ice, too far for Dumont. Will back up with it. As most of the play right now between the blue lines. Wells will dump it in. Turning back goes Kalinin in the corner. On him is Daw. Kalinin backhands it along the boards, but not out. That bounces into the corner. Smith after it for the Wolfpack. Pass in the slot for Daw. Takes the shot, missed. Back to the point for Doig. Tees it up. Can't shoot. Flips it in deep to the corner, and Daw, but on him is Mathot. In behind the net. Jason Daw kicking at it in his skates. Smith down, wrapped up against the backboards by Kalinin. Daw pulling it to the corner. Gets tied up with the puck around behind the net. As Kalinin slowed over the hook, finally goes down. No problem. The puck up the wing. Is to the point, but not out. Shot in behind the Amerks net. Holland has it there. Teams working on line changes. Mathot to center ice. To the red line. Dumps it in on goal. And steered aside by LeBay. After it carried off and up ice, here's Doig, the defenseman, on the right wing over the red line. Shoots it behind the Amerks net. Dornan will clear it around the wing for Van Oen. Tips a pass off and intercepted and kept in. Tesolino side of the net and Stock with a shot, but that's off the blocker of Dornan and goes wide. In behind the net. Up with it again. It's to the point for Doig and a shot in. Tip, but goes wide off the stick of Doig. And there by Gano, and now cleared to center ice by Aduno for Van Oen. He'll slide it down deep into the Hartford zone. Doig back. 16 and a half minutes to go. Third period. Amerks need 2. In the slot. Moving in middle with a shot. And a stick stop for LeBay. A great opportunity. Amerks couldn't finish. Behind the net. Hamel, but bounced over his stick. And it's carried off by Stock. Puts it off the boards to center ice. Grandpierre back at his own blue line. To Campbell. In front of the net to Grandpierre. Up the wing this time. On the right wing side for Murphy. Over the line. Tried to pass in front, but deflected away. And carried off and off ice by Regional. Then he's bumped off the puck by Huda. Amerks take it back. Hurlbut To the blue line, Sapola turning after it again, out in front of his net. Off in the corner, a little bit behind his net to the other side for Huda. Off the right wing and ahead out over the line. Here's Sapola with a pass to Sapola to Amel, and it's dumped in. Murphy's pass to Sapola, and Sapola pulled down, and the puck around behind the Hartford net. They get tied up there at the point. Herman with the wrist shot and grabbed there by LeBay, and leaves it off for Bannister. Off the wing to center ice, and it's taken right back. Here's Huda at his own blue line to Hurlbut. Moves it ahead to the red line, dumps it in, knocked down off the stick of Paul, and goes to the corner. In after him goes Pittis. In the corner, flipped high in the air by Vito off cross ring, and out the center right. Mark drops it to his blue line. Colleen in there to Huda. Alex trailing in this game 3-1. Hartford trying to close it out here. Leading in the series 3 games to 2. Here's Pittis in the zone, stops. Moving in front, quick wrist shot, but doesn't get through. That's taken away by the Wolfpack along the side boards to point area, brought up ice by Armstrong. Over the red line, the blue line winds up with a shot, but deflected wide. Armstrong gets to it again, trying to throw it in front, but that one is cleared behind the net. It is around the right side to a Finnegan. As he works his way up ice, weaving his way in the Hartford zone, still has the puck and then goes down, and the puck in the sideboard. Back to the point area out over the line. It's dumped to the Rochester zone by Smith, and Norton out of his net in the corner. He'll sit in behind, but getting to it first is Daw. Daw has it. Dropping it back in the corner, goes behind the net, and chased after there by coming in and getting to it, Tuzolino. Here's Wells trying to feed it in front, but couldn't do it. Daw was in front of the net all by himself. They tie up in the corner. Tuzolino knocks down Kalinin. With the cross check, no call, and the puck back at the point, kept in by Doig. Caught behind the net, Tuzolino. In the corner, after him goes Kalinin, pass in the slot for Daw. Weak wrist shot in off the stick of Dorn into the corner. Pulled away by Kalinin, out over the line to center ice. Davidson had it knocked off his stick, and Kalinin after it at the red line, but that one tipped away and taken back by Grand-Pierre. Amerks have it up the wing for Davidson. As he drops the puck, looking at Dennis Aduno, tied up on the sideboards by Wells. The puck is in their skates, throws it against the boards. Davidson digs it loose, but now Wells takes it and shoots it in the Rochester zone. 13:40 remaining, third period. Amerks trailing 3-1. Time is the factor now, and certainly a case of the Amerks here. Brought up ice by Amel over the line. Wrist shot in, stick stop for LeBay, and he covers the puck and holds on. 13:29 to go, third period. Hartford leading 3-1. You're watching the American Hockey League's Calder Cup Finals on the Empire Sports Network. The parade of flags here at the Blue Cross Arena. Some of the fans trying to get the rest of the fans on their feet, get it going, making some noise here. They try and spur Rochester back into it here. Hartford looking to wrap up their first ever Calder Cup championship, and what a great year the Wolfpack have had.
And good look at Jason Daw right there. Wolfpack wants the cup. Everybody wants the cup. It's a team that gets to 4 wins is the one that's going to get the cup. And there's a shots on goal. Amerks out shooting the Hartford Wolfpack for the first time in tonight's game, 5-2 in this third period.
Sapola between Amel and Murphy. It's Hurlbut and Holland, the defenseman for Rochester. Hot drop back to the left point for Hurlbut. Runs him with the shot, and the miss was her tie. Whacks at him, but can't get it out. Kept it at the right point by Holland. In the corner of Amel, feet in front, into the skates of LeBay, where he grabs it and holds on. And LeBay standing his ground tough here as he did last game. Boy, huge second period. 20 saves in game, 24 in the second period. Soccer fans, Rochester Raging Rhinos back in action on Empire Sports Network. Coverage debuts Friday night, June 23rd, 7:30, when the Rhinos host the Seattle Sounders at Frontier Field. The defending Eastern Conference champs have the A-League title in their minds, and victory over Seattle will be a good start. Don't miss it. The Rhinos and the Sounders, June 23rd, 7:30, right here on the Empire Sports Network. Rochester player bench. Watching on for the face-off. To the left of LeBay. It's Sapola between Amel and Murphy. Puck rolls to the corner. And for the Wolfpack, up front, Stock with Gano and Daw. And the sideboard back to the point, kept in and dumped around behind the net by Holland. And the other side, Bannister for the Wolfpack. Can't get it out, blocked by Amel and behind the net. Cleared by Hall around the boards. Up and down ice. Back of the Amerks. Should be an icing call. Hurlbut is there. There's the whistle. 12:56 to go in the third period, and a 3-1 Hartford lead.
And you get the Wolfpack are going to do that all night long with that 2-goal lead. They want to make sure that they get the puck out of the zone. They're not going to take any chances. The Amerks now have to capitalize on maybe the Wolfpack going into a shell. As Coach John Paddock, he's telling his club what they should be doing out there. And hey, guys, there's a lot of time left. We can't be going into a shell right now.
John Paddock looking to become the first AHL coach to win Calder Cups with 3 different teams. Hershey in 84, Maine in 88. Coach also, by the way, won 2 Calder Cups as a player with Maine, 1978 and 79.
He and his assistant coach Mike Busniak. Mike Busniak is going for his 5th Calder Cup, right?
6th.
6th Calder Cup.
Actually, Busniak is the only player in AHL history to win 4 straight Calder Cups. Nova Scotia 76 and 77, Maine 78 and 79, and then we won a 5th one with Maine in 84, so it'll be his 6th Calder Cup. That's a pretty good track record. Cleared all the way down ice, back for it, in his own zone goes Campbell. Huda, right back to Brian Campbell. And to Huda as they play catch in their own end of the ring. Huda to Campbell once again. Down over the line to center ice for Dumont. Sends it the rest of the way down. In the corner, picked up. Run around behind his net by Virtue to the other side. And nobody there as Huda had moved away from the wall. And the puck is out to center ice. Campbell to Huda. Leads it ahead this time to Pittis. Turning it off ice, but too far ahead. Unable to reach it to Finnegan. Back of the blue line, and Campbell spins it all the way down on goal. The Bay will sweep it aside for Virtue. And the Wolfpack with the puck out of center ice, but Edwards popped up in the air into the player bench and out of play. 12 minutes to go in the third period. Hartford with a 3-1 lead. Watching the Calder Cup Finals on the Empire Sports Network. You look at the Buffalo Sabres brass, former Hammer right there, Don Lever. There's Coach Lindy Ruff, Darcy Regier, Jerry Martin, the scout, Don Luce, Director of Player Personnel. All of the folks are here. Larry Carrier was also there. As the Herring Club for the Rochester Americans, the Buffalo Sabres. This one shot all the way down, back after it. In behind his net, taken by Grand Pierre. Off of the wing for Duno to center ice for Sapola. As he enters the Hartford zone, stops and tried to feed it through, but deflected away. Out over the line to center ice. After it Wells, and he's slammed up to the sideboards by Grand Pierre. Tipped loose. Ball's in the zone, offside. Whistle stopping play. Buffalo, the parent team of the Rochester Americans, the New York Rangers, the parent club of the Hartford Wolfpack.
Now we take it, had seen Wells on the screen hunched over after that hard check by, watch this check by Jean-Luc Grand-Pierre. He just crunches him, and Wells, as you mentioned, Don, 6'5". He's got to be 230 pounds, and it looks like he's favoring that left shoulder of his.
Actually lists him at 6'6". He's a big man.
He sure is. Maybe you should put a monitor down by the Amherst bench with all the Sabre brass there and say, hey guys, these guys are watching this game very. You talk about a team that's got to make some decisions coming up with the expansion draft coming up. We look at the Hartford bench. They look like there's Wells being talked to by the trainer.
Out in front of his net, Hurlbut up the right side to Finnegan up. Gives it to Dominic Pittis, who crosses the red line and shoots it in. Behind the Wolfpack net, cleared around on the wing to the point, kept in. Hurlbut with a shot. That doesn't get through, and it's pulled out over the line to center ice by the Wolfpack. After Pittis trying to knock it loose, but taken by Vita Hall, and shot in by Jernander around behind the Amherst net all the way to the other side. Armstrong tying up there along with Holland, and Pittis digs it out of the corner. And bring it through in front. Pittis wheeling his way in a pass on the left wing side to center ice Hurlbut. Feeds it ahead from a Finnegan out. Enters his zone, fakes a shot, trying to move through in front, slips it in goal, but that one dribbled wide to the corner. It is after it. Backhands it in the backboards, and Finnegan out to the point for Holland. Shot in, but whistled wide to the net. To the point, kept in by Hurlbut this time. Off the glass, all the way behind around the other side, and getting to it is Vita Hall, flips it away, and out over the line to center ice. Jernander will dump it in. Certainly Hartford at this point is content to do just that. Right away, Hurlbut. Holland drops it off, and down to center ice for Mathod, who shoots it in. LeMay stops it behind his net. Davidson chasing in for it for Rochester, and into half out hours Mathod. They tie him in the corner. Puck pulled along the boards, and now brought away by Tuzolino. Gets it out over the line, and the pass off to Stock, who dumps it in the air zone. Turning back goes Huda. Houston around behind the net to the point. And here Davidson knocks it loose. Catching up is Mathot. Has a man on with it. And Mathot stopping in the sideboard. Trying to pass it front, but it hits a skate. Then knocked away out of the zone and down ice. Coming back is Huda. And Stock flying. Stock comes back, or make that Hall comes back and gives a chop at Huda. And the puck around behind the Rochester net. Huda spins to the back boards to get away from Smith. Pass up the wing to Aduno and ahead to center ice for Lamel. As he one-hands it in the zone, Aduno in on the wing. Long shot in, stick stop for LeBay, holds on. And Lamel knocks Doig over top of goaltender LeBay. And we'll talk about that. 9.5 minutes to go, third period. Hartford continuing to hold on to this 3-1 lead.
And right now that clock is starting to tick really quick for the Rochester Americans. Denny Hamel may have gotten away with one run that last play as the shot was taken towards the net. The goaltender LeBay makes a save, and as the whistle went, after the whistle, Hamel came in there and just pushed to one of the defenseman, Doig or Wells, over top of the goaltender. But this referee looks like he's put the whistle away, and it's one of the things that we right here after the play. There it is right there with that shot by Hamel. The referee in the first period called 4 straight power plays to the Hartford Wolfpack, which led to 2 power play goals and a third goal that was scored right after the power play ended. Has put his whistle away. It looks like a little bit too late for the referee.
Yeah, Wells has shot it all the way down ice. As Wells is back on the ice. Now it's shot in behind the Rochester net. After it goes Grandpierre, turning in behind, plays it up the wing, but deflected away. Taking it down is Sapola as he's tied up, and Daw runs him on the sideboards. Chipped into the corner. Smith and Kalinin collide there, and the puck is loose in behind the net. Grandpierre coming back. Finally able to chip it loose for Aduno. He'll pass ahead, but that one is knocked down. Take it back, and Daw keeps it in. Shot around behind the Rochester net. Grandpierre with it. Works to center ice, up the wing for Aduno, but that one, as he stepped over the red line, was an offside pass. 8:45 to go, third period. Hartford leading 3-1, and you're watching the Calder Cup Finals on the Empire Sports Network. Look at the Hartford bench, very patiently trying to close out the Rochester Americans. Great series they played, John. Hartford has played it very well.
Well, they sure had. You know, the Amherst went into Hartford. They did do what they wanted to do, split the series. They came back home 1-1, and then what a game Hartford played here to take the series back and give Hartford back the home ice advantage back with that third game of the series when they beat Rochester 3-1 here.
Pass to center ice. Pittis been rolled off his stick. Turning back in his own zone. Pittis has it there in front of his net. Campbell on the right side. Headman's but too far for the fin again. I've shot back in the zone again. And this time whistled down offside. 8:27 to go, third period. Hartford with a 3-1 lead as you look at Doug Huda, the former Hartford Whaler, by the way.
Doug Huda is over there saying something to the bench right there. You talk about a warrior. He and Mike Rowan have logged a lot of ice time for the Rochester Americans and the veteran leadership. And you know, one of the things you come down to, it might be the final time that these guys, this final 8.5 minutes where these guys might play each other, or will some of these guys play some more? Will Doug Huda come back? There's a lot of questions that are going to be answered in the next few weeks with the Rochester Americans, Buffalo Sabres, even with the Hartford Wolfpack.
Pass up the wing for Dumont. Enters his own, winds over the shot, and a stick stop for LeBay. Cleared off at the point, kept in by Huda again. In the corner, pass away by Klocek over the line. Campbell to Huda, but Armstrong fans on it, spins around, now gets it and shoots it in behind the Amherst net. Back goes Campbell, spins around to get away from Vitahall. Carried off and up ice. Here's Huda, works his way up ice. Pass to the right side. Afinogenov over the line, but is taken down. In after the puck goes Dumont as he draws into the backboards for Pittis. 7:40 remaining third period. The puck carried away and up ice by Virtue. To the red line, dumps it in. Now behind the Rochester net. Off in the corner once again for Gano as he's bumped there by Campbell. Hawkinson skates and stuck down after it. On the corner boards again. Gano bumped by Huda. Behind the net, that's pulled away by Pittis. Getting to work his way up ice. Pittis down at the center ice, but that rolled away from it. Taken back by the Wolfpack. Pass ahead for Gano. And he just dump it in. Doesn't get through as Huda blocks it, still at the point area. Now shot around behind the Rochester net and back for it. Go to the Amherst. Earlman from behind his net, 7 minutes remaining in the third. Off the wing to center ice. Sapola, the red line, over the blue line. Into the right wing side. Stop. Takes a shot. Glove stop for LeBay. He holds on to the face-offs and pushing going on in front of the net. 6:52 to go. And the Amerks needing 2. Now the Wolfpack trying to hold off here. Let's go downstairs now. Bob Trimble. Bob, you there?
Oh, yeah, I'm here, guys. You know, I'm thinking, looking at that clock as it's going down at 6 minutes, 52 seconds. This pretty partisan crowd in favor of the Amerks, obviously, here in Rochester. But there's a big group of contingent of fans from Buffalo favoring Tony Tuzzolino, the right wing of the Hartford Wolfpack. Of course, from the Buffalo area. Had a chance to cover Tony during his days at Michigan State when I worked in Detroit. So at least we know a couple people in these stands that will be rooting for Hartford if they should go on to win the Calder Cup, guys.
All right, Bob, thank you. Back to the point. Moving in. Holland with a shot. Doesn't get through. And it's carried off and off ice by the Wolfpack. Dumped in by Smith, and turning back goes Holland for the Amerks. On his heels is Wells. And it's a giveaway to Wells. Drop it to the corner boards. After it, Murphy looking to pull it loose, slides it along the boards and out to the point and down to center ice. Amell on the right wing side, moving up ice. Here's Murphy, drop past his opponent. He's in front, but doesn't get through to Davidson. Cleared away again and brought off ice by the Wolfpack. Wells to the red line, shoots it in. Amerks will make the line change. Norton stops it behind his net. Down to 6:15 to go. On away by Holland. Head to the red line. Dumps it in. And chasing after it goes Aduno in behind the net. He's ran to the backboards by Doig. And pulled loose in behind. And moving in. Davidson passes the slot. It's carried off. And up ice by Jernander of the Wolfpack to Vitahall. Watch one-on-one with Kalina. Backhander and a pad save for Norton. Goes around behind the net. On the board, still not out. Norton behind his net brings it around the other side and moving in as Jernander kicks it. Then is run over by Grandpierre and the pass deflected through the slot. I mean, getting to it. Able to backhand it out to center ice. Vitahall taking it there for the Wolfpack and dumps it in. Norton stops inside of his net. Kalina after it there. Off the wing for Jeremy Aduno. Into center ice. Weaves his way to the red line and shoots it in. Back to the Wolfpack. Behind his net is Doig. Around and out the left side. Pass up the wing to center ice. Shoveled ahead to the Rochester blue line. Taken back by Huda to Campbell. To Doug Huda. At the right wing side this time to Finney. Puts it off the boards, but Finneganov is tied up. Can't reach it. Taken back now by the Wolfpack. Out to the Rochester blue line. Huda there. Off to Campbell. He'll pass ahead on the side boards, but can't do anything more. It's taken back by the Wolfpack. Off the right wing side this time to Dumont, carrying it in the zone as finished. Takes a wrist shot, wants to get through, blocked in front, cleared out and down ice. And you can see the Wolfpack, John, converging in front of the net. Every time the Amerks go to shoot, there's about 4 jerseys to try and get it through. And to center ice, Finnegan off his bump. That puck flipped high in the air in the Rochester zone, coming down to the corner. After it, Campbell pulled down. No call, feed to the net for Wells. Wrap around a tip, backhander, and Norton gets his right pad out there to block and the whistle blows. 4:33 to go in the third period. Hartford leading 3-1. Time running out on Rochester. You're watching the Calder Cup Finals on the Empire Sports Network. Well, Brian Campbell, who was pulled down moments ago, and a long discussion with Brad Meyer, but of course got nowhere.
Well, you know, the Hartford Wolfpack, as you mentioned earlier, Don, they're just putting a blanket right around LeBay, and they're not letting anybody, letting the Amerks go through. If the Amerks are going to be able to score goals, it's going to take an extra human effort out there by one of the Amerks to get through that defense shield that the Hartford Wolfpack have around their net and they goaltender.
And they've done an excellent job, especially defensive, in the last game and this game, as the puck then was flipped up into the stands and out of play, and another face-off coming up. And of course, again, remember, Hartford allowing the opposition only 198 goals against all season long, and a great defensive effort from start to finish.
That sure is, and it's carried over into the playoffs. And here's a team that this Hartford Wolfpack team, Don, they were down 3-1 in games with the fifth game going back to Providence. For you know, it looked like maybe they're going to get knocked out. They came back and they won the next 3 games. And there's a team that was down and out, and they've showed a lot of character, and they've played with a lot of discipline and character in this year's Calder Cup games.
Holland to Hurlbut. Off the right wing side, and Amell will bang it in around behind the Hartford net. LeBay stops it there as the puck is shot around the wing, and the Wolfpack away. Out to center ice for Daw. Trying to dump it in, but puts it into the Rochester player bench. Daw and Amell having a few words as the face-off will be coming up at center ice area. 4 minutes, 4 seconds to go. Former Emmerich Jason Daw has a couple of goals in this series, including the game winner in Game 5.
Now look at the shiner underneath his left eye. That's where the stick came up from Jeremy Aduno's stick came up there earlier. Was it Game 1 or Game 2 of the series? And he missed the first game here in Rochester. There's for the guy, the ammo killer right now for the Rochester Americans, center Bill Armstrong of the Hartford Wolfpack. Has a goal tonight, the first goal of the game, but he's been just a terrific player for the Wolfpack and against the Rochester Americans.
Derek Armstrong, the captain of the team, and he's really been I think the spark plug of this team. Behind his net, Hurlbut rings it around the right wing side, coming out of the slot, and away with it is Mathot. Headbands into center ice, but too far for Davidson. That one is poked at by Grandpierre, pops up in the air, comes down the Hartford blue line. Wolfpack have it again and slip it out over the line, and Hurlbut coming in, and he runs over Tozzolino. That's in the Hartford zone. Shot to center ice, Grandpierre. 3.5 minutes to go. Time really running quick here for the Hammers. Needing 2 goals in the next 3.5 minutes. Hartford just 3.5 minutes away from their first ever Calder Cup championship, and the puck is dumped all the way down. Grandpierre to Kalinin. Throws it cross right to center ice. Davidson can't reach it. Stock takes it, shoots it in. Stopped to behind his net by Norton for Grandpierre. 3 minutes, 10 seconds to go. You almost have to wonder, John, at what point Emmerich might pull their goaltender. That's over the line, out to center ice. Shot in, around behind the net. Norton stops it there, and back for it goes Kalinin. Emmerich can't seem to really get anything going right now, but of course, as you talked about, the Wolfpack just throwing that blanket around their own end of the ring. Out to center ice. After it on the wing side is Dumont. As he carries it over the line, top of the slot, moving in, pass off, moving in, Grandpierre, trying to feed it back in front, blocked away by Virtue, and in the slot, carried off, dumped on and down ice by the Wolfpack. Back on the Emmerich, Kalina getting to it, and it is an icing call. 2:36 to go in the third period. The Emmerich trailing 3-1. With the face-off deep in the Hartford zone, isn't tied yet.
Well, you know, 3-1. I think once you pull the goaltender out, with the face-off is deep in the zone. Here's a hit by Mike Hurlbut on Tozzolino. Tozzolino, that's something that he didn't learn at Michigan State, to skate with his head down, and Mike Hurlbut came in with the shoulder and just hits Tozzolino. I saw Mikko Norton look over at the bench. I think what's going to happen, I think it's still a little way too early, especially with the face-off deep in the zone to the right of the goaltender, LeBay. If the Emmerich could maybe win this draw, get a shot from the point. But once you pull that goaltender, it makes it a lot easier for those guys to their eyes start to open up a lot wider. They see that big old empty net down there.
It's Sapola for Rochester for this faceoff. As the puck is under skates and chipped back into the slot area, that one is played away and out over the line to center ice. Chased down to the red line by Huda. Throws it through on the left wing side. Campbell dropping it back to Huda, has to turn for the puck into the corner. Gets to it there. 2:20 remaining in the third. Pass to the blue line. Sapola gets it out over the line for Aduno. At the red line as he is spun around. Can't get away. And now taken by Huda once again. To Campbell. To Huda. They play catch in their own zone, and up the wing to center ice for Aduno as he'll dump it in. Now here comes Mika Doran into the bench, so the net to our left is empty. Into the point, kept in by Campbell on the sideboards, back to the point area, and it's out to center ice, where Pittis chasing it down. Off the right wing, Pittis ahead. Here's Huda on the right wing, winds up with a shot, but puts it in, missing the short side. 1:49 remaining on the third period clock. In behind the net, into the far corner. That's taken away, blocked, knocked down by Huda and kept in. In the corner, spinning there. Trying to get away, the Emmerich needing 2 in 1:39 to go. It's around behind the net. In from the corner, from the point comes Campbell, but can't keep it in. As the puck is backhanded out and down ice. Chased after by Pittis. In front of his net, Dominic Pittis. Turning it up ice. Over the blue line, the red line. Works the left wing side, feeds it off to Hurlbut, moving in with the shot, a riser, off the blocker of LeBay and over the net. Dumont pulls it around behind the net, taken there by the Wolfpack. In the corner, shot around the glass, knocked down to the point. Hurlbut can't keep it in, as it's out to center ice. Taken back again by Holland on the right side. Here's Puffin again out. Slides it in over the line. On the left wing side, Pittis with a shot, hits a leg, doesn't get through, and a minute down to go. It's behind the net, in the corner, Sapola digging it out there. Into the slot, Hurlbut with a shot, deflected over top of the net. Down in the corner on the sideboard, feet in front, doesn't get through, deflected away. Right off ice by the Wolfpack, 3-on-1, pass to Armstrong, gives it back, shot in, beat the Hall, scores, and the Wolfpack put it away, and will be the Calder Cup champions. 44 seconds to go, and now it's 4-1.
Well, the Amerks had their chances. The puck came across. I don't know if it might have been Holland who gets the puck, and it just goes over top of the net. And the Wolfpack break out. You talk about unselfish. Vita Hall and Armstrong breaking down the boards down the center of ice. It actually was a 3-on-1 break out of the zone. The Wolfpack, Armstrong has a wide open net, passes back to Vita Hall, and look at the Hartford bench, and there's Mike Buzniak finally cracks a smile. And the Wolfpack, that puts it away for the Wolfpack. They are the Calder Cup winners this year. Something awfully, watch this, watch that selfish play of Armstrong. We talked about him, the captain, the leader. You know, you talk about most valuable player in the playoffs. Armstrong sure definitely is a candidate. LeBay a candidate, Armstrong a candidate.
Leaning up to the wing, sends it in the zone, just 37 seconds to go. A delay offside, that's flipped in the air out to center ice by the Wolfpack. Leaning taking it back. Feeds the left wing boards to Van Oon. He'll dump it in, now 25 seconds to go. Pass in front, Bannister off in the wing and ahead to center ice. Flipped in the air, cross rink, chased after by Mathot. The Wolfpack not even crossing the red line anymore. That's taken by Kalinin, dumped in, 10 seconds to go. Fans are starting to stand here to cheer the Amerks. Many remembering, and hopefully some will remember what a tremendous year it's been for Rochester as they take it down 2 seconds, 1 second. The 2000 Calder Cup champions, the Hartford Wolfpack, their first ever Calder Cup championship.
Yeah, look at that. They deserve it. They play better than the Rochester Americans, and that's the team. You know, the best team won in tonight's hockey game in this series, and it was the Hartford Wolfpack. You know, the leaders like Bannister, Virtue, TJ Stuck, limited role that he played, but Armstrong, Brad Smith, just an unbelievable run for who's called the coach of the Calder Cup champions, John Maddox. What a tremendous job end season that they've had. And you look at the celebration at that end of the ice for the winning team. It's been a long year. There's a team that they start in September, and now it's in the first week of June. And they're finally going to take their skates off tonight, not worry about putting them on tomorrow. So they're going to be happy about that.
And the Rochester Americans played the most games ever in the history of a season at 101 games. The Wolfpack playing 103 games, and tonight, the champagne on ice for the Hartford Wolfpack. Congratulations to the Wolfpack, again, the 99-2000 American Hockey League Calder Cup champions. We'll continue with the Blue Cross Arena. You're watching the Calder Cup Championships on the Empire Sports Network. Tradition in the game of hockey here at center ice, the team shaking hands and congratulating the Hartford Wolfpacks tonight for the American Hockey League Championship. As the Wolfpack win in 6 games, 4-2. And it's the first ever Hartford Championship. You see the championship t-shirt right there, which belongs to the Wolfpacks. The players are wearing their championship hats, and the trophy will be presented here momentarily as the coaches, Brian McCutcheon and John Paddock, meet at center ice. And great job by Paddock, but what a tremendous job this year by Brian McCutcheon with all the injuries, 4 season-ending injuries. A defenseman traded away, a couple of players lost to the Sabres for the year, loss after loss after loss after personnel all season long, and the Amerks having had such a great year to go to the finals. Let's check downstairs now with Bob Trimble. Bob?
Thanks very much. Yeah, they're going to hold the cup up for just a second. Derek Armstrong, alternate captain for this Hartford Wolfpack team. Congratulations, Calder Cup champs 2000.
Hey, thank you very much. It's been a long road. There's a lot of guys that deserve it. Ken Ternander had a long way. Our goaltender was great. Our training staff, our coaching staff, and you can't ask too much more about the players. You know, it's just we come from a long ways. It's been a great heart. And I just like to thank my family, my wife, my dad, my mom, my sister, my son. It's been great, and Calder Cup champs. What more can you say?
A lot of them here tonight. Go enjoy yourself with the cup.
Thank you very much. Take care.
All right, Derek Armstrong, the new AHL Calder Cup champion, Hartford Wolfpack. Back upstairs to you guys.
All right, Bob, and there's Calder Cup on the table. The president of the American Hockey League, Dave Andrews, at center ice.
Do they want somebody else?
Calling out Jack Butterfield to present the Butterfield Trophy for the most valuable player. And I think that should be obvious, Sean. Probably who's going to get that.
Yeah, it's going to be either the interviewee that Bob just, or it's going to be J.F. LeBay. And
well, Armstrong being called over. And evidently it's Armstrong who is receiving the Butterfield Trophy here.
I thought it was...
He's not sure even. He's not too sure. His teammates had to tell him to go over to the table. So Armstrong picking up that trophy.
I'd like to congratulate the Wolfpack on an outstanding season. First overall, Calder Cup champions.
All right, so the president of the league, Dave Andrews, at center ice.
They gave, I think it was, does Armstrong have it?
Well, now he's giving it to the captain of the team, Ken Jernander. That's the Calder Cup. So congratulations to the Hartford Wolfpack, winners of the Calder Cup here, as they take the Rochester Americans to the finals, 4-2, and the celebration now begins for Hartford. And I'm sure back in Hartford, the fans are delirious.
Well, they sure are. And, you know, Jernander, you know, the player he went to right at the bat was the goaltender, J.F. LeBay, because J.F. LeBay was the difference in this series, shutting out the Rochester Americans twice and allowing 1 goal in this hockey game. What a terrific job J.F. LeBay did.
Well, there's the former Emmerich, Mike Harder, skating the cup around, and another former Emmerich on the team, Jason Daw, as that's Purington right there as the celebration begins for the Hartford Wolfpack. And I'm sure they'll celebrate for a couple of days.
Well, they sure will.
Armstrong.
Mike Harder, you know, the last year he tasted defeat, and now he's tasting victory.
And back to ice level once again for Bob Trimble. Bob?
Oh, yeah, here's a happy young man here, Tony Tuzzolino, native of Buffalo. How does this feel this close to home?
Oh, you know what, I can't even say. I'd never expected this in a million years. And, you know, these guys are a great bunch of guys, and we battle all year. And it's unbelievable. It's just an amazing feeling.
Part of a great college team at Michigan State under Ron Mason, but talk about these guys that you played with this year in the championship.
Yeah, you know, I was part of great teams and never won anything, and you know, being a part of these guys, a lot of guys have been close, a lot of guys that work hard, and it's just great to see the smile on these guys' faces. That's what makes it real when you see guys like this just crying. It's unbelievable.
And last thing, your family down there in the Zamboni end with a lot of signs, glad to be here too, right?
Oh, man, I thank them for coming out. We had a small group today, probably only about 8 or 10, but you know, it's wonderful for them to get out here and see it, and I'm just glad that we brought it home here.
Tony, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
That. We also have head coach John Paddock, who's going to come over here right now. Coach Paddock, congratulations, Calder Cup champions, first time ever for this Hartford Wolfpack. You feel pretty good.
Well, it feels great right now. I mean, it's something when you work as a group for 8.5, 9 months to win. It's a feeling you can't describe. It's that good.
It's one of the guys we talked about so much in this series, and I know you guys had during the entire playoffs, J.F. LeBay in goal. He played a whale of a series.
Oh, he's been great all playoffs, you know. And, you know, you have to have that kind of goaltending to win championships, and good goaltending makes some teams better, and good goaltending makes great teams win.
We appreciate you coming by. Enjoy your cup.
Thank you. I will.
All right, John Paddock, head coach of the Hartford Wolfpack. Once again, the new Calder Cup champs, guys. Back upstairs to you.
All right, Bob, thank you very much. As the Calder Cup still being touted around the ice by the Hartford Wolfpack players. And what a great feeling it is to win the cup.
Well, you know what? One of the things that you know, here they are. You know, it's it's accumulation of a whole season. They start in September and they go all the way into June. It's hard work, pressure, you know, ups and downs, highs, lows of a season, and this is the ultimate right here. You're looking at a bunch of happy guys who have worked their tails off all season long. And let's not take anything away from the Rochester Americans. The season that they've had, very disappointing. You know, a lot of the players are saying before this series start that the only thing that they would settle for is winning the cup. They did not win the cup, but they should not hang their heads down, and they should be proud of just the effort that they've put out and really represented the Rochester Americans, the city of Rochester, extremely terrific.
There's the team picture, and now the bubbly is flowing across arena. And I guess it is so fitting, as we talked about at the beginning of our program tonight, how fitting it has been that it ends up being the teams that finish first and second in the league going at each other's the finals. And then on top of it, then Hartford closes it out and wins not only the regular season championship, but then also the Calder Cup championship.
And there's a good reason why they won it. As Coach John Paddock said of the Hartford Wolfpack, that you need great goaltending to win championships. And they had great goal, and J.F. LeBay just fantastic in there for the Hartford Wolfpack.
Yeah, Bob is with another former Emmerich down at ice level, Bob.
That's right, former Sabre as well, Jason Dodd. Jason Dodd smelling like a little champagne right now, sir.
Yeah, it's that's not the only thing that's smelling right now. It's smelling pretty sweet. It's you know, I can't even believe this right now. It's been you know, hard work all year round, and to finally have the satisfaction right now that we wanted. It's a great feeling right now.
I know when you're in the NHL, you want to stay in the NHL, but if you have to come down and win a cup, that's not so bad, right?
No, I mean, it's been a long time, a lot of frustration personally for me in the last year and a half or so, but you know, this makes a lot of it making up right here. It's a great feeling.
Congratulations.
Thanks very much.
All right. We also have, I think we're going to have in a second, is goaltender J.F. LeBay is having a lot of fun. This guy was really one of the great players in this series. J.F., congratulations on your Calder Cup championship.
Thank you very much.
Tell us about this series, or actually going back to the Providence series. You guys were down 3-1 going to Providence. What turned this thing around for you?
Well, you know, we got lots of leadership in that team, and you know, we never quit. And even if we're down 3-1 against Providence, we felt that we played good enough to win those games. And we came back. We had lots of character come back, and it was a hard battle. Even in the final, those guys never quit. They played great, and just an unbelievable feeling right now.
Well, it says a lot about your play, but also your defense to hold down this Rochester Americans team that's known for scoring a lot of goals, and you shut them out twice this series.
Well, we're the best defensive team in the league, and we prove it in that series. I mean, they had a pretty good defense too, and great goalie. I think that kid's going to be in the NHL soon.
JF, congratulations.
All right.
All righty, a lot of celebration going down here on the ice. Let's send it back upstairs to Don and Josh.
All right, Bob, thank you very much. Well, the celebrating going on the ice, and now the locker room. You check it out there, and that's where the real fun, I guess, is going on, John, at the moment for the Wolfpack.
Well, it sure is, and you look at the smiles, and you know, they're going through like I don't think they realize what they've done yet. You know, this is a fun time right now, but I think winning the championship will sink in, and probably tomorrow and the day after.
Well, thank you so much for being with us tonight, and we thank our producer-director, Chris Ambellis, his great crew that has put this telecast together tonight here on the Empire Sports Network. To the fans in Rochester, tremendous season. To the teams, the players, the coaches, the staff, everybody else, thank you so much for a tremendous season. Hartford Wolfpack, the Calder Cup champions. Good night, everybody.